Hello and welcome to Fresh Face Comics, the comic book podcast where a lifelong comic book reader guides his friend through the world of comics for the first time. My name is Joey Morgan, the aforementioned lifelong reader. With me, as always, is Jacob Licklider, the aforementioned newbie.
Joey, I have to ask you, war, what is it good for?
Fuck you. You need to stop this. This needs to end. I can't fucking do this anymore.
No, you're stuck with it
Oh,
now.
God. All right, welcome to Fresh Face Comics. For some reason, this is our 20th episode. Our
20th
20th episode. Can you
episode.
believe this? Oh man, I can't believe this. It's crazy. Very exciting though. Yeah, I don't know. 20th episode. Today we're covering Green Lanterns, the Sinestro Corps War. Um, as you guys know, if you listen to the last two episodes, me and Jacob have been reading from the Green Lantern by Jeff Johns Omnibus Volume 1. So that's what we'll be reading from for this particular episode. So if you're following along with your own Sinestro Corps War and you have like the trade or you have the two-volume version or the Green Lantern by Jeff Johns version, whatever, there may be some slight inconsistencies with this story in particular. So
Yes.
more on that later. But yeah, I'm
But
very
yeah.
excited. Before we get into today's episode, as always, thank you all so much for listening. It really does mean a lot. Thank you all so much for supporting us on the various platforms that we have the podcast on. It's really, really cool to see how how listenership varies between platforms and specifically for different kinds of comics that we cover. And Green Lanterns has been really interesting in particular. So yeah, what else? Anything else before we get into today?
If you haven't seen it already, the the scene Joey did a couple
Yes,
weeks back.
with our good friend John. We did I did a scene from the Long Halloween with my friend John. He played Batman. I was Joker. It was very fun. Go check that out. We did that in honor of Tim Sale. It really did mean a lot, and yeah, just really cool stuff. Go check it out.
Yes.
Yeah, it was really cool to do. So, all right, I guess let's get into today's episode, the Sinestro Corps War. Non-spoiler section first. Jacob, having read this for the first time, what is the Sinestro Corps War about?
So it's kind of interesting because this isn't like this is big.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is universe spanning big. Like
Hmm. So much so that I would say, like, by the end of this story in particular, we have the Green Lantern comics that people know today. Like if people think of like Green Lantern, modern Green Lantern, at least, this is it. Like by the end of this story, we are there. This is finally it.
yeah, this is it. This is Sinestro having built his core of what 3,600 yellow lanterns,
Yes.
sending them out to basically ravage the universe and make the universe fear them all. Um, but also specifically challenge the Guardians' rule because the Guardians, as I mentioned in the last episode, are a police state.
Yeah. Yeah. We had a really great conversation about the Guardians last time, and I knew, like, based on that conversation, like you'd find this one really, really interesting because of what they do with the Guardians
It
here.
it's interesting. So, and what happens to Ganthet? Ganthet is a character I know you like quite a lot, but he's a character who
Hmm.
wasn't really clicking for me until this story. Um,
Yeah. Because they weren't really focusing on the fact that, like, Ganthet, was like sort of the individualistic guardian, and here you actually really see that, like, Johns wasn't really playing on that much up until this point.
yeah, but it's also interesting because this is a story arc from three writers essentially. Um, Johns writes, all the Green Lantern title, and then the Green Lantern core title is written for the most part by Dave Gibbons. Um,
Hmm.
but then Peter J. Tomasi takes over for like the last issue, which is like chapter 9.
Yeah.
Um, and this is just a story that it spans a lot, and there's a lot to cover because it does a lot of things. It does a lot of things really, really well. I think the middle has a tendency to drag, um, especially with the way uh, the two books that it's Green Lantern and Green Lantern Corps are structured, um, where you'll have a Green Lantern issue pushing the story forward, and then the core issue going back and meeting up with Green Lantern by the end, um,
Hmm.
which is
It does sort of fall into a bit of a pattern, doesn't it, at times?
It falls into a pattern. It makes some things weird, but I don't know how else you would really tell a story like this across two books.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
it is hard to do, especially considering like they're not saying like, oh yeah, Jeff Johns is writing this whole story himself. Like it's Jeff Johns and Dave Gibbons, each writing their own series still, and it's all meant to be the same 10-part story.
yes, and almost it's also weird because a lesser set of writers would make it so you wouldn't have to follow one of the books. Like it would be in parallel, but they wouldn't really connect.
Hmm.
But these are just heavily intertwined.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like you,
Like when they say they're not just saying that it's like here's chapter one in Green Lantern, here's chapter two in Green Lantern Core. Like it really is that sequence, it's that chapter one, two, three, and so on.
yeah,
Like you do need to follow it directly, but there are times where it does feel a little unnecessary because some of it does like tread on the same ground that the previous issue did.
yeah, and especially around like chapters 3 through 6. Um, that's where it sort of dragged the most for me. Not enough to where I wasn't enjoying it because I was intrigued. I was ooh, where are we going with this? We have a lot of moving parts. How is everything going to wrap up? And and the fact that it manages to wrap everything up really nicely, um, and really nicely without, because this is kind of this is I'd argue this is like a bit an event comic. There are
Oh, definitely,
yeah,
definitely.
there were
It
what,
was pretty
four
big.
tie-ins?
Yeah, there were four Tales of the Sinestro Corps tie-ins plus three backup stories leading into it. So,
Yeah.
plus countless scenes of setup in the previous Green Lantern arcs.
And what's nice is you don't need any of the tie-ins to understand the story or deepen the story.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
definitely. Maybe and it focuses on like the main Sinestro Corps member characters, but mostly only like if you didn't know who they were before. Um,
yeah.
yeah, but
Uh,
like I know you don't need to read the Cyborg Superman one.
yeah, because I've
We
read Death of Superman, Return
we
of
did we
Superman.
did a lot of Cyborg Superman content, so yeah, you don't need to know who that character is. But in this case, because we're reading from the Omni, we have the Superboy Prime issue here. And like obviously you don't know who that character is at all. Um,
No.
so
And he
I'm
was
sure that did help a lot with your reading though,
it
didn't
helped
it?
a lot. Also, God, he's a character is just
Yeah.
I'll when we get there,
There are things to talk about. There
I
are
have
things to talk
thoughts.
about.
I have
Yeah.
so many
Yeah.
thoughts.
You know what, actually, I guess we could sort of talk about non-spoilers. Let's do our first Twitter question. Um, Jamie at Jamie underscore season 7 says, "What does Jacob make of Superboy Prime?"
So I have a feeling there's some metatextual element that I'm not getting. It feels almost like he's a metatextual commentary on people who don't like Superman.
It's possible, but the character
Like,
was also created in 1985, so mm,
so okay, maybe. I mean, because he's well, and I'll elaborate when we actually get to the issues where he's most prominent. But as a character, one, whiny, but like he's whiny, very human, but like whiny, annoying, and utterly fascinating.
mhm,
Like he's a character I should hate. I should be like, no, this character sucks. Why would
mhm.
you include him? But I'm like,
I always think he's one of those characters that, like, you see him do truly evil and fucked up things in the story, and you're just like, God, I love that so much. Like, he's a fascinating character to see do what he
he's a
does.
great villain.
Yeah,
And he feels so we have just in pop culture, we have this thing of let's do evil Superman,
yeah,
which is, let's be honest, overplayed
yeah,
to
and
all
and
hell.
also we do that trope set in worlds where Superman doesn't exist as a concept. So it's like, how would this person actually act with these powers? But in Superboy Prime's case, like he literally knows Superman comics.
In those Superman comics, he has met Superman.
Yeah,
He's met more than one Superman.
yeah,
It's also interesting because a lot of those things end up like, what is Superman when evil? When evil, the smartest ones are like, well, then he wouldn't be Superman.
yeah.
Uh, because yeah, because Superman is a good character. I'll also say I think the way Johns uses the Justice League in this story arc,
Hmm.
they come in right at like the perfect time.
Pretty much the exact opposite of Wanted Hal Jordan.
Yeah,
How they're using that, like, oh god. Ugh, see last episode. We have issues with Wanted Hal
yeah.
Jordan.
Ron Hal Jordan is a mess. A mess. But yeah, I also again I find Sinestro fascinating as a character too,
Mm.
especially since despite being the big villain, he's barely in this until the end.
Yeah, yeah, and he plays the most fascinating role towards the end. Like, oh man, I can't wait to talk about that. That'll be
Yeah.
interesting. But yeah, what else do we have to do non-spoiler? Anything big?
Well, I think we could also say the art uh being a lot of different artists, a lot of it being uh we get some Dave Gibbons art at
Yep,
points.
we do.
Uh
Ethan
we
Van
get
Sciver, of course.
yeah, we got like one issue from Van Sciver, Ivan Reis, Jerry Ordway
Yes,
at
Jerry
one
Ordway,
point.
who is a name that you haven't seen since
Since
since Death of Superman.
yeah,
Yeah,
like ooh, that was a fun name to pop up. It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
um and Patrick Gleason, a bunch of different artists all coming together to tell a story.
Hmm.
Also, I think this is also a really good example of moving DC Comics in general into the 21st century. Um,
Yeah, yeah. We had a bit of that, and I think you're referring to the larger things this does to Green Lantern, right?
yeah,
So
well, because
we had a bit of that before in the, getting rid of the yellow weakness from Green Lanterns, but we go even further with that here, and I'll be really interested to hear some of your thoughts on that.
yeah, and not just feeling like set up for the big Blackest Night event, which is
Yeah,
coming.
like we're setting up Blackest Night, sort of. It's there, but really, what this story is it's the culmination of the 20 issues that we read before this, plus
Yeah,
Rebirth. You know,
yeah,
um,
it's Jeff Johns realizing he has a story to tell. The Blackest Night stuff, really, that's just like a last minute sequel hook.
oh
Which,
yeah, yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
this is comic books. Of course, you want a last minute sequel hook.
Yeah,
Uh,
unless you're properly like ending your era,
yeah,
like it's yeah,
and
like
John
this
still has what
he has
several years on this
he
title.
has plans. Like there are there are big plans for this book. There's what about 60 odd issues left plus a shit ton of tie-ins. It's a lot. It's a
It's a
lot.
lot. It's a lot. Um, but yeah, I honestly, if this might even be one that you could, I wouldn't say read on its own, but definitely consider
Hmm.
as a comic, especially in the way that
If you
it's.
want to find like just the right road to Blackest Night, like this is where I'd say you begin.
Yeah, I'd also say it gives you just an understanding of big scope storytelling without being perhaps too confusing and throwing a bunch of continuity at you. Because I didn't
Hmm.
feel a whole lot of continuity, even with a bunch of
Yeah, despite the
characters.
fact that like, who are the core members of the Sinestro Corps, you have Superboy Prime, the Anti-Monitor, Cyborg Superman, the Manhunters, like they're all here, but I don't think that really bogs down the story, does it?
It doesn't. It also is really good at not necessarily just being a story about the villains. Now the villains get their time to shine. Johns has a lot to say on the necessity of fear, uh,
Hmm.
and in setting up exactly what he wants to do with the emotional spectrum.
Hmm.
Because yeah, this is John's doing a lot. It's doing a lot. Just go and read it. I think it's my favorite thing we've read by Jeff Johns. Um,
Nice.
just because it hits a lot of the right beats. It ends perfectly. Uh, it struggles a little in the middle in places. It's not perfect, but this is Jeff Johns just on top form, writing something. He has stuff to say, stuff to imply, and he knows exactly where he's going.
Hmm. Yeah, awesome. That's a great place to end that. Before we get into our spoiler section, let's cover our other two Twitter questions, both again from Jamie. Jamie says, also, which of you two is the most likely to be a Yellow Lantern? I'm curious for your opinion on that, actually.
That's
If it,
hard because
if a ring had to choose one of us, who are we talking here, Jacob?
probably you.
Yeah, I would be inclined to
Like
agree.
I
I'd be inclined to
just
agree.
it's not like you instill fear or anything. It's just
No. I
like
think yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
it's like I yeah, no. It
And
wouldn't
then
it,
and then our other thing from Twitter, again from Jamie, same same fucking picture as last time and the past few weeks of doing Green Lantern content. It's the fucking pterodactyl picture from the Visitation, them surrounded by a Green Lantern and with the question Green Lantern, and once again the response to that is
so this time the answer is no. No. Yellow Lantern. That's what this week is.
actually, yeah, you're right. Yeah, no Green Lantern, Yellow Lantern. Absolutely. Good one, Jake.
Yes. Yes. Uh
On with the
also
show. Oh, sorry.
before we
Oh,
get into
go ahead.
spoiler section, because I think Joey forgot about it,
What
because
did I forget? Shit, what did I
that
forget?
that next time, on Fresh Face Comics, we'll be entering a new block.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah. No more Green Lantern next time. Yeah. So next time on Fresh Face Comics, all you know going into it is it's another Bat block, which we haven't done in a
yes,
while actually.
we haven't done it in a while. I have a guess for
Yeah.
what it is, but
I think you might know what it is, but I think you're also wrong.
I have a guess. It's the guess I told you.
I think if I were to guess, I think your guess is somewhere in this block, but it's not next episode.
Oh, okay,
I think
interesting.
if I know what your guess is, and I'm pretty sure I do. But
Okay,
anyway, yeah. If you want to just hear what that guess is and not stick around through the spoiler section, skip to the end of the episode. It'll be there. So
if you want to
yeah,
see what we're doing next time, it's going to be linked down below.
yes. As
I'm
always, you can
physically
find
pointing down, despite this being an audio
your
podcast.
yes. Oh god. All right. Moving into spoilers now. We kick off, at least in the Omni, with Tales of the Sinestro Corps. This is these are the three backup stories from Green Lanterns 18, 19, and 20, being the Mystery of the Star Sapphire. These were like three sort of backup stories before Sinestro Corps War actually started up. So here it is. We're on the planet Quard.
We are okay. Okay, so this is basically Jeff Johns sending up like Tales from the Crypt, right? Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what he's doing, and I love it.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, but yeah, we immediately follow up with Almond Sur right
Yes.
after Wanted Hal Jordan, uh, meeting uh, meeting Lissa Drac of Talok 4, keeper of the Book of Parallax. So with the whole book and the yellow chain, my brain went to Destiny from the Sandman for some reason.
Okay,
Um,
I get that.
yeah,
Yes, yeah, sexy destiny. There it is.
sexy
That's
lady Destiny.
yep. That's,
I'm
uh,
sure. I'm sure Jack Kirby would be proud.
yep. Yeah. But yeah, so we have this here. She's the keeper of the Book of Parallax, and all this is to just say here are some Sinestro Corps members. So we have our first one here. This is a Green Lantern here, flying around. What is it? Lost his love, right? Yeah, that's it. Or lost his
Uh,
people. It was just his, yeah,
Lots of
all of his
people
people.
to Despitalis, a living virus. Yeah, I love each of these little short stories. Like he
Yeah,
finds a yellow lantern, freaks out, and just all he finds is death. And now this is art by Dave Gibbons.
Mhm.
So
This is the Watchmen guy, at which you know Dave Gibbons' work already, considering
yeah,
Watchmen is one of the few things you've read before starting this podcast.
and I've also read his run on Doctor Who comics.
Oh, that's right. Yes,
Yes.
despite his art being a little less than stellar there.
Yeah, but that's also, he was doing weekly
Yeah,
issues.
yeah. Oh,
Uh,
weekly 4-page issues. Come on.
yeah, but still, that's still a lot to ask. Um, but yeah, and he starts our Green Lantern starts coughing, and he coughs up this yellow sludge, and the Yellow Lantern is a sentient virus, which is such a cool idea.
Mm-hmm.
Like it again plays on the fear of fear of pandemic, fear of being sick, um, and it's this whole idea of like everyone spreads fear in a different way, which I think is a fascinating look into what the Sinestro Corps are.
Mm-hmm. Oh
Like,
yeah, yeah. And we end the story by Amoncer being almost disgusted by it, but then says, "Tell me more. Tell me another story."
story.
So this goes into our second backup story from Green Lantern 19. We start off with a quote from Rudyard Kipling, which is interesting. For the strength
Yeah.
of the pack is the wolf, and the strength of the wolf is the pack. So yeah, we go into this one.
And the story is
Um,
kind of a reverse Jungle Book, I guess.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
yeah, so we're on a jungle world. Um, there, a girl called Carousel is, feral and savage. She attacks a deer pig thing, uh, runs with a pack, uh, changes herself to fit in, grows up, and then she sees a boy. Um, Goes to him, drowns him, and
kills
it's
him, has
yeah,
her
it's
creatures eat him. Um, Then a Green Lantern arrives, trying to save her, but she is what? Is she already a Yellow Lantern?
she
Oh
just
no, sorry, no, it was she. So yeah, he takes her to Graxos 4, and she was left there, and then and then she got her Yellow Lantern ring. That's it.
yes.
Yeah. Interesting to
Um,
also hear that the Yellow Lanterns aren't full on yellow yet. Yet they all have sort of that Sinestro blue suit.
the blue and black.
Yeah.
And well, in sort of the frame story, Amun Sur is being brought in because he has to light his own lantern by facing his own fear in a sci-fi sensory deprivation tank pod thing, which is very creepy. Um, and we move on to the final story about Bedovian, uh, which was this person who wasn't aware of any sort of life until aliens landed on their planet. Started to mine for some minerals. Woke up and then ate them all. Uh, Again, pulling from some nice space cosmic horror.
Mhm.
And that's what it still does.
Yeah, they eat this one alien. He stays inside this pod with this alien, and and this other alien sort of what fuses with or not fuses with him, but eats him and takes
Yes.
gets the Yellow Lantern ring then, and just a really cool idea. I don't know. It probably like it's still a cool idea, but probably is the weakest of the three stories.
Yeah.
It's not bad though, of course.
Mainly because it's supposed to be like looking at cosmic horror, and I don't think Johns really goes as far as he could with the cosmic horror story
Mhm.
in these couple of pages. I do
Yeah.
like the note that we end on, um, with Amundser going into the pod to face his own fear,
Mhm.
and then she directs her attention to the audience. The fourth
Yes,
wall is
to
shattered.
tell us another story. Um, and this one is of Sinestro, and we know this already, but we get like the full version of this scene that we saw in what did we see it last time? Or no, we saw it back in Rebirth.
Way back in Rebirth. It's
Yeah,
been
way
a
back in
while.
Rebirth. Feels like I don't know. We recorded them all so close to each other. It feels like not that long ago.
Yes.
But yeah, we see this the full version of this scene during Rebirth. After Sinestro blows up Hal's jet, and they put on their rings and they fly together and have this really cool conversation. Um,
There's this nice little scene just at Abinsur's grave.
yeah,
It's eh, again, I think I think with a character like Sinestro, now I don't know how based this is considering he's been a character who's been around for such a long time. It could be so easy to make him just a shouty villain, right? You
yeah,
know? And Johns doesn't. Johns is very much let's examine what makes him tick.
Yeah, and Sinestro is extremely intelligent. Like he uses his intelligence as part of his menace, and it really, really
Yeah.
works.
And I mean, you genuinely feel that he is sad because of the death of Avansur.
Hmm.
Like, he genuinely has emotions. Now, he does become, a fascist dictator.
Hmm.
Um,
But he does it interestingly. Although he ruled through fear, he creates this core pretty much out of fear. Um, Fear not so much of the Green Lanterns, but of the Guardians.
yeah.
He's very aware of what the Guardians are, and it's that whole conversation we had in the last episode about what the Guardians actually represent, and I really really like that. So, yeah, we get a bit of his. We see like the actual like turn over to away from the Green Lantern core. We get a little tease of the Anti Monitor there, and that's the end of that.
Yeah.
So, moving in to Sinestro Corps Special number one. This is the prologue to Sinestro Corps War called The Second Rebirth.
Rebirth.
This is drawn by Ethan Van Sciver. Very nice art for this. Um, all right, this is the big one. This is the like sort of big issue of the
Yeah,
series.
this is the big issue that sets everything up.
Mhm.
Uh, and we
And it has
start.
got some moments.
It has so many moments.
Yeah.
So we start with Sinestro, um, painfully in prison, monologuing to himself about how the universe needs to change. Um, we really find out how driven he is by this a sense of order,
Mhm.
um, and for the first time in his life, I felt fear, and I was blinded by its brilliance.
So good.
Which,
Sinestro is just so good for monologuing. Like I like giving good villain monologues. I love that.
yeah, I
Um,
mean, if Vincent Price were still alive today,
oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely.
yeah,
Who would be Vincent Price's Hal Jordan?
I don't know. It's an interesting question.
I can't think of an actor that would actually like fill that role from the time.
Yeah, maybe
Hmm.
Robert Redford.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, it
All
wouldn't be
right.
the same Hal, but it would be a choice.
It would be like 60s, 70s Hal, you know?
Yeah,
It would work.
it would work.
Anyway, yeah, so no, yeah, so we see Sinestro here getting the very first Yellow Lantern ring, making it out of his fear. And we see the full-on Yellow Lantern suit. So this is obviously the Yellow Lantern suit that you knew before knowing
Yes.
anything about Sinestro or Green Lantern in general. Were you surprised at all by the fact that like this is like when it actually first showed up?
Honestly, kind of, because I thought, Sinestro would be just in yellow from like the point after he left, the Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah, because it always has been, yellow is the color of fear. Parallax had always been associated with yellow. All this was yellow, and then Sinestro was blue for some reason.
For some reason.
Yeah, all of Sinestro's power ring was yellow. It all operated under yellow, but here he was just in blue and
Yeah.
black, and it's like, all
Uh,
right,
yeah, we
whatever.
also get the Sinestro Corps oath for the first time.
Yes,
Uh,
obviously a play, of course, on Green Lanterns. In blackest day and brightest night, beware your fears made into light. Let those who try to stop what's right burn like my power, Sinestro's might.
which again,
Uh,
making it Sinestro's might is kind of important for what the Sinestro Corps is. This
yeah,
isn't
it's not saying you could try to find some way to make it work and say yellow lanterns might whatever something like that, but no, it's specifically him.
him.
It's Sinestro, and I like that.
Uh,
We then for some reason cut over to Earth and we see Reverse Flash here.
yes,
You messaged me about this bit, the way they do his speech bubbles
his
here.
speech bubbles. Yeah, it was. First, I thought, is this a misprint? Like,
Yeah, no, that's how it was because they were like, oh yeah, he's fast, he vibrates, whatever, let's make his dialogue vibrate literally.
I don't hate it. It's a cool idea. It
Yeah,
just,
yeah,
it's kind of hard to look at
fair
sometimes.
enough, fair enough.
Uh, yeah, he's fighting the Justice League, including Hal Jordan. And Hal ties him up with green chains and is asking, where the hell's Sinestro? Um, because, Sinestro is alive, had apparently been working with the secret society with Professor Zoom / the
Mhm.
Reverse Flash. Wonder Woman's there to play bad cop. Um, and it's musing on, is Hal Jordan still the greatest Green Lantern? Or will he ever be the greatest Green Lantern again? Or does he wish to be?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. It's a cool idea, and I think I'm curious for like what your own personal opinion on that is actually.
See, I don't think he wants to be the greatest Green Lantern again.
Hmm.
I don't think Hal Jordan wants glory, or I think Hal Jordan just wants to help people.
Hmm.
Um,
And compared to what he wants, considering you don't know where this is going, what do you think he will get?
well, I mean, clearly at the end of this story, he gets it
Hmm.
with the way this ends. Uh, it's what makes it's what makes the final few pages work. That's Hal's motivation. Now, he might have that stripped away and thrown in the gutter because comic books and changing times after this.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, it's very possible, especially with the rising of the new cores. I feel like Hal would be a good pick to be like liaison to all of the new cores
That'd
and
be
have
interesting.
them work together.
Mm.
I don't know if that's what happens.
Yeah.
But
And just throwing it out there, who do you, of the Earth Lanterns? Because there is a correct answer to this. Um, who is the best Green Lantern?
uh, I want to say Kyle Rayner, uh, but I have a feeling that's the incorrect answer.
We shall
Uh,
see. We should. I just wanted your opinion on that. I just wanted your
yeah.
opinion on that. All right. Yeah, we move on. Let's see. Yeah, the Justice League is all working with Hal to find out about Sinestro. We go into space sector 424. That's it. And we don't know these Green Lanterns, do we? Probably
No,
not.
we don't.
No, we don't. They're meant to die.
Because they come across and find a yellow ring. And you know, in comes Kyle Rayner, uh, who is who in between Rebirth and now has become Ion and the Torchbearer.
Yeah,
Uh,
so I mean they catch you up on it just fine, but just
yeah,
as a quick rundown, Ion is pretty much the Green Lantern equivalent of Parallax. It's this entity that sort of embodies what the core stands for.
embodies willpower, uh, and he investigates the rings shooting off into space, um, catches it. The ring, says you do not have the ability to instill great fear. You have not been chosen. So it keeps going off.
And then
Uh,
we see that there are multiple Yellow Lantern rings flying around here,
a lot
looking
of Yellow Lantern
looking
rings.
for recruits. We then go to Space Sector 3, which I don't know, I just think that's funny. Just it's always some big number, it's always like, hey, here's Space Sector 1, 2, 4, whatever. It's just,
Yeah.
here's Space Sector 3. Bedovian, this is our Kilo. It's time to wake up. So this is Bedovian. We saw them in Tales of the Sinestro Corps.
We saw Arkillo earlier on in,
Yep.
I don't remember which issue in the last episode that we
One of
covered.
them. I know it wasn't
Before,
Wanted. Was it Wanted or was it Revenge? I think it
I
was a
don't
Revenge.
remember.
I think it was
It's,
Revenge, actually.
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's that. We then go over to the Guardians, who are still investigating Cyborg Superman, and it seems slowly putting Henshaw back together.
Yeah. Well, they need to know why he knows the secret of the 52.
Yeah,
Uh, which, again, a very weird thing to bring this man back together, uh, which is kind of paralleled in the end of this event when Henshaw specifically wants to die.
yeah. But yeah, we talk about the idea here of that it is a little weird given what the multiverse theory actually is. But we talk about how there's this universe and there are 51 other parallel universes. Um, which isn't an issue. No one's really going to go around saying like, oh yeah, there are thousands of different DC universes out there. It's like okay, yeah, 52 seems
Seems
reasonable, but
reasonable.
it is a little weird, isn't it? Um,
Yeah, I mean, it's a little weird, especially since multiverse theory doesn't state it implies an infinite number of universes where an infinite number of choices are made and
yeah,
possible.
Yeah.
Because yeah, but yeah, um, Henshaw wants to eradicate all life because without life there will be no fear or avarice or hate. Um, and the Guardians are basically like, no, we are here to maintain order.
And that's all they pretty much can say. That's all they've been saying is,
Yeah,
they're here to maintain order, and that's all they've done for however many years they've been around, which is pretty much forever.
yeah,
Um,
and they're
it's again just John's continuously poking holes in the idea of the Guardians, which I love.
which is like, yeah, and I mean, and they're denying this prophecy which will eventually come to pass.
Mhm. This is brought up specifically by Ganthet and Sade, who mention the cosmic revelations of the Blackest Night. Um, and yeah, we talk about that. They want to Ganthet wants to obviously help to prevent it, but other Guardians aren't so worried about it. But
Yes.
yeah, so then we move over to the science cells, where we have Green Lanterns here, just hanging around. We have Guy Gardner coming in here, making a big Supergirl construct, because of course he does.
Well, he's trying to taunt Superboy Prime.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, well, he then meets with Salak, uh, you know, with like, hey, all the Earth Green Lanterns need to speak to the Guardians. Um, and it's like, oh, what's so important that they need to interrupt the Guardians? It starts with Sin and ends with Estro. Um,
Yeah. Over to a guy talking to the other Earth Lanterns. He goes over to Kyle and John here. Hal is not here yet, right? Oh no, he is here. Sorry,
he's
he is
here.
here. Yeah. Um, yeah, just sort of like also checking up on Kyle here because man, Kyle's had a lot of pressure put on him lately.
Yeah, and his mother's died. This is the
Yeah,
day that his mother's will is supposed to be read.
man.
And he talks to all, you know, uh, there was this painting she had in the living room when I was growing up. It was the only color in the house. I used to stare at it for hours. What was it of? A boy in a field. We used to make up stories about him and how he was lost and trying to find his way home, but he couldn't find anyone to help him. And he doesn't remember how the story ends. And the yellow ring bursts out of the construct, starts flying around the dining hall, and
And it
places itself.
goes after Kyle in particular, but not specifically Kyle, but for Ion. Ion is captured, it says, and sort of just flies Kyle away from there. Makes sense. Over to the antimatter universe. Same place we saw the rings being made last time. Yellow Lantern rings being made last time. We see all the slaughtered workers over there. Kyle
All of the fear being instilled, building to this great 2-page spread.
Oh my god, of the whole Sinestro core, and just looks fucking miserable. I mean, I love it, but it's amazing. Like it's just supposed to look horrible. Um,
And then another 2-page spread of that you have to turn the book vertically.
yeah,
Uh,
of Sinestro standing above all of them with Arkillo back there. What do you think of Arkillo as a character, actually?
he's clearly the muscle behind Sinestro's, dictator.
Well, it's also meant to be sort of like, okay, here's Hal Jordan and Kilowog, here's Sinestro and Arkillo. Um, they're meant to sort of not have the same relationship, but
But sort of a
it's
parallel,
meant to sort of parallel that, at least physically.
at least physically. Uh, yeah, but Kyle tries to call the other lanterns, but Hal Jordan cannot hear you, Kyle.
Which
But
we
we
can.
can.
To which
Uh,
Kyle responds, "Fuck me," which
yeah.
which is great. Makes sense. So yeah, so the other lanterns go over to investigate this. They are ambushed by I forget the name already. What's the name of that one yellow lantern? Shit. Fuck, I should know it. We just Bedovian, that's the name. They're ambushed by Bedovian and a bunch of the other yellow lanterns. They come out and they just straight up attack Oa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, the war begins.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's a strong start. Like it comes on so strong, and it's I know, like, when I was rereading this, I was like, oh god, it's gonna be another like complaint from Jacob that it's Jeff Johns' big blockbuster attitude towards writing comics, but I think it really works here,
It
doesn't it?
worked this year. It works because this is called the Sinestro Corps War, and war can just break out at a moment's notice, and everything hits the fan almost immediately. Uh, because Kyle's trying to fight Sinestro. Uh,
With no success. Um, we see John here fighting off the Yellow Lanterns from getting into the science cells.
yeah, and that's how they. And part of the point here is the Green Lanterns lose this first bout
Hmm.
because, like you have Kilowog fighting, Guy Gardner kicking his way through Yellow Lanterns, and
I like that little touch of a guy losing his jacket in the process of the fight.
yeah, that's nice.
Just a cool little visual touch. I like that.
Uh,
But a bunch of Green Lanterns just get slaughtered, and we see all these green rings fly their way out to go find replacements for
something that's gonna just be an image that keeps popping up, be
yeah,
it
and
green or yellow
just to show just
rings.
how horrifying all this is. Like lanterns, green or yellow, have never died on a mass scale like this. Probably not since Hal Jordan went crazy. Um, so
Yeah,
yeah,
not since Hal Jordan did it, but
yeah, but
the
even then,
science.
even then, I don't think there was this imagery specifically being used.
No. Um, there was that image of Hal with all of the green rings, which gets homaged later. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But yeah,
Uh,
so yeah, we go to over to the science cells. Superboy Prime has been broken out. We go back over to the antimatter universe, and Sinestro. Then Kyle is still trying to fight off Sinestro, despite the fact that he is completely incapacitated. They remove his ring. Um, they take him over to the yellow power battery, over to Parallax, and not Hal. So used to it happening. But Kyle is then bonded with Parallax, and we see Kyle Rayner
forcibly.
Parallax, and my God, look at that.
It is a design.
Fucking Kyle Rayner Parallax. I love that.
Basically, as the right hand man for Sinestro, he is ready, and the ante is upped by the Anti Monitor, Superboy Prime, and the Cyborg Superman,
Yes, and
all ready,
Manhunters are here too, of course.
and Manhunters,
Yeah.
all ready
So
for war.
we'll talk about sort of talked about Superboy Prime already. We know Cyborg Superman. We know the Manhunters. The Anti Monitor. What did you know about the Anti Monitor?
I knew he was a creation by Wolfman and Perez for Crisis.
Yes, yeah. Crisis. I'm not going to say too much because it's a big story. We're obviously going to cover Crisis someday.
Yes.
So I don't want to say too much, but yeah, pretty much,
It,
villain
it has a
created.
very George Perez design.
It does. It
Like,
totally does. Yeah.
like every time I saw him, like, this is nice.
I
This
think
is nice.
specifically throughout this story, whenever Dave Gibbons, or not Dave Gibbons, Patrick Gleason gets the chance to draw the Anti-Monitor, it looks very Perez.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, Also, just the art through all of this is brilliant. Like,
Oh yeah.
we're probably gonna say it a bunch, but all the artists who work on this.
Yeah, there are a lot of big moments where the artists just get to run wild and do like big page and two page
Yeah.
spreads,
Because
and
if Johns knows anything, Johns knows when his script needs to shut the hell up and let the art do the work for him.
yeah, which realistically is probably the result of the fact that he's always writing a million different things at one time, so he doesn't like overload his stuff with dialogue. But it really does work though.
It's also I'd argue it's a skill that comics writers in general need to have because they're working in a visual medium.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely. Yeah, I think one of the best examples of that currently is Tom Taylor. I know you know a fair bit about Tom Taylor.
uh,
Um,
I know what runs he works on. I have
yeah,
not read a single thing by Tom Taylor.
we will. Don't worry. We'll get there. We'll
We'll
get
get
there.
there.
I mean, look at it this way. Like there's a big name in comics that we're only covering for the first time on the next episode. So like, we'll
Okay.
there's so much ground to cover yet. Yeah, we'll
Okay.
see. Yeah. Anyway, on to the actual Sinestro Corps War. This is Chapter 1 from Green Lantern number 21, Fear
Fear
and
and
Loathing.
loathing.
The Green Lantern bits of this are written by Jeff Johns and drawn by Ivan Reis. We'll move
This
into
is
this.
this also has a cover by Andy Kubert,
Yes.
who I know is the guy that did the art for Flashpoint.
Yeah, he's a great artist. He has a very Ivan Reis style, doesn't he?
Yeah,
It looks like it could almost be an Ivan Reis cover.
almost, yeah. But
Any, yeah, we move in. We get some flashbacks. We get a little catching up on the events that the key events, I should say, that led to this event. For those that don't know, but of course we know very well. And here we are. We see the surviving lanterns checking on the fallen. And
and
what
ooh,
a 2-page spread it is. Oh my
it
God,
is.
that hurts to see. Um, Oh man, so many characters that like we don't even like necessarily know any of the characters here, but the ones that are dead at least, we don't know them. But like just seeing the ones that we do know, mourning over them, it's so impactful. I think it really worked. But
Yeah,
yeah, surveying the dead. Of course, standing at the middle of it all is Hal fucking Jordan, and who should be there? But of course, the Green Lanterns that hate him most.
they hate his guts,
Yeah,
and it's a tension that's
it's
run through this entire event.
Yeah, I think, of course it's easy for them to look at Hal with disdain normally, but also the fact that a lot of Sinestro's hatred for the Green Lanterns is fueled by his personal vendetta with Hal Jordan.
With
And
Hal Jordan is at the center of all this bullshit.
yeah, and you feel kind of bad for the guy, but also you can't really blame the ones that hate him still.
Yes, I love how Guy just tries to stick up for Hal, even though even though Guy himself is just so beaten down by this.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah. But Sal is there to assess the situation. Um, John is like, let me assess for them. We just got our asses handed to us. The least they can do is come out here and give us a damn pep talk. Uh,
To which we see what the Guardians are actually doing. They're looking at the Book of Oa, which you'll remember last time they said could not be rewritten under any circumstances. And here we are, discussing the possibility of rewriting the Book of Oa. Um, they, again, that begins to question. It says, then why did we record Abinsur's findings? Why did we write this chapter in prophecy describing our final fate and ultimate purpose into the Book of Oa? And then another guardian responds, because we did the forbidden Ganthet, we felt fear.
fear.
And it's interesting. It's really, really interesting.
And the
We
book
move on.
itself gets burnt. Uh,
Yes.
to the Sinestro Corps is continuing to, ravage the universe.
Yeah, as you do. As you do.
Um, and you have this great thing of the Manhunters providing the power batteries for the Sinestro Corps, uh, which isn't fully established here, but it'll become a big thing later on.
Hmm.
Uh, we get a recitation of the Sinestro Oath, and I love these two panels with just Sinestro and basically his council all in shadows of,
Yeah. Oh, so good.
fear is spreading.
Yep.
Uh,
Then Ganthet and Sade contact Hal. Um, Sade, catches us up, says that she's also chosen to be an individual mind recently. What did you feel about like sort of like their relationship with the other guardians and I guess specifically with each other?
so I think this is the first time I really got why the Guardians have no emotion,
Hmm.
and a firm grasp on sort of what that means. And I think that's mainly because you need someone like Ganthet and Sade, who are going to
Hmm.
have emotions and
Yeah.
set themselves apart. Because it could just be, their species thing. Like they just process emotions differently. That's a,
But
like
but but it's not just a species thing, it's something they choose.
they
And
choose, and yeah, and it's the whole idea, they felt fear. It's like I like the idea of them, kidding themselves to think that they're emotionless when they're not. They
yeah.
have emotions.
Mhm. It's just easier for them to not feel for the rest of the universe.
Yes.
But moving on, Hal catches up with Guy and John here. They was it they recharge the power, they recharge the rings through the power battery then, to hopefully help them. But they are attacked by Parallax in the meantime, or not
Because
Parallax. Yeah, actually, yeah, Parallax. What am
and
I
yeah, an
saying?
extension of
Yeah,
parallax, which has corrupted the power battery,
yeah.
making Hal once again relive the death of his father.
Yes, a
Uh,
scene that we see so many goddamn times. You think it'd get old at this point, but nope, I still love it.
it every time it shows up for a different reason, and I think that's what stops it from getting stale.
Yeah,
Like,
it's not like Bruce Wayne just constantly remembering the death of his parents for no reason. I
yeah,
think it's this really does mean something, and I think Johns is really the first writer to really play on this backstory. So, or continuously like play on it as like a core thing that makes Hal Jordan Hal Jordan.
yes, yes. Um, and I love the anguish in Hal's face, uh,
Yeah.
on like the first page of the flashback or
Yep.
like thing, where
Hmm.
he just looks like a broken man.
Yeah, and then
Uh,
to the end of the flashback where he's just full on crying, like, oh, I love it. Oh, it's so good.
and then
Uh,
Parallax shows up, and Kyle Rayner's being overly dramatic.
yes.
Um,
Oh my God, love it. Oh, it's so good. I love the look of Kyle Rayner
I'm
Parallax.
slightly annoyed that they made Kyle Rayner evil.
Jacob, I told you, every Green Lantern has to be evil at some point. It's the law. It's just
I
what
mean,
happened.
at least it helps that they fix him well before the end of this arc.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Because,
it's
like,
not
let's
it's
be
not a.
honest, if they kept evil Kyle Rayner until the end of this arc, it
Wait,
would have gotten
I'm
old.
curious actually, because it's a pretty big thing. Do you know when evil Guy Gardner happens, other than all the time?
No, I don't.
Do you know what it is? Like how he becomes evil? Because it's not Parallax.
No, I don't.
He's a Red Lantern.
Ooh,
Yeah,
ooh, that's interesting.
yeah. It's pretty well known, but I wasn't sure like how widespread it was. Like if you knew about it.
I did not. That
Well,
that
that's
makes
fun.
sense. Have they done Evil John Stewart then?
Uh, I think I'm
So
pretty
basically,
sure.
everyone gets to be evil.
And then when Simon Baz is first introduced, he's seen as evil by the whole Justice League. So
Oh,
yeah.
he's one of the lanterns invented for the New 52.
Yeah, another John's creation, and it's super underrated. I love Simon Baz, but more on that much later. Yeah, so yeah, Kyle Rayner comes in. He's evil. He's cheesy. I love him. I
He
love all of his time.
monologues.
I love him. He's so good. But
We
yeah,
end the issue on him standing over Quark. It's good to have a core. Uh,
welcome to Quord. Almost rhyming like.
yeah.
I love it. We move it then into Green Lantern Corps number 14, Chapter 2 Sinestro Corps War, The Gathering Storm. This is written by Dave Gibbons with two artists, Patrick Gleason and Angel Unzueta.
Unzueta
Unzueta?
with
Unzueta?
inks by Prentice Rollins.
Yes.
Um, yeah. And this is the first time where we are focusing mainly on the core itself.
Yeah.
Uh,
So unfortunately, I find the issue with reading core tie-ins with main Green Lantern stuff is that you don't know half the characters.
yeah.
Like you don't know any of these guys. And honestly, having not read the main Dave Gibbons core line myself, or most of it at least, I remember I read the first couple issues a while back. But I don't know half these characters. I don't know if they were actual like characters that we focused on at all, but we see a bunch of them get slaughtered by the Sinestro Corps. And it just kind of happens. It's a gruesome scene, but honestly, I don't feel that much, to be honest.
Yeah, it's gruesome. It's gruesome. There's some that I get because of reading Recharge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, like Natu, she's a great character.
Hmm.
Um, but I think this is mainly important to show, just uh, how far the war is spreading.
Yeah.
Because this is like we start, and it's just a lot of destruction, and you have Natu, who's she was the star character of recharge.
Yeah, yeah, and she's a big part of the main Green Lantern Corps series.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we see her here. She's sort of like trying to like calm her people, but in comes probably the most terrifying drawing of Sinestro I've ever seen. Like, my God, that is horrifying. Um, he comes in saying, "Ah, the banners, the cheering crowds, just like the old days," with this
Exactly.
horrible lightning strike behind him, and he's all silhouetted. And oh, I love it. Look at that. Oh,
He's
that's amazing. That
again
is,
Vincent Price.
yeah, like seriously.
Was that the voice
Um,
going through my head the entire time? Yes.
I imagine I can't remember who did it, but the guy from the first Injustice game, he's really good. Him, and I can't remember the voice, and it's not hard to imagine, but Mark Strong played him in the live action film, and it's moments like this that I'm like, oh man, imagine if Mark Strong actually got the chance to do evil Sinestro, like that would have been so good.
Or was this, in a better Green Lantern film?
Yeah, yeah, just still as Sinestro, like I really want to see that, but
Yes.
whatever. What do I know? Yeah, so moving on, he attacks Natu here. We go out into sector 3009, deep space. Um, I don't know this lantern personally.
Uh,
Uh,
I don't know this lantern, but he's
he's
looking
called
for his friend.
he's called Green Man. Green Man of Green Lantern, sector 2828. Yeah, looking for his friend. Um,
And his friend's a robot. And it's kind of adorable when they reunite.
yeah,
I didn't even
yeah.
know these characters, but that's adorable.
It's a sweet little moment.
Uh,
But yeah,
and it's basically meant to set up, the Sinestro Corps is going to attack Mogo, the living planet.
yes. Did you know Mogo before this?
Well, he was in Recharge, which obviously I
Oh,
read.
that's right. Yes, okay, I forgot Mogo was in that.
And then I looked him up, and apparently he's an Alan Moore creation.
Yes, he is.
And I'm
Yes, he
like,
is.
that tracks.
Yep. Yeah,
That tracks.
I love Mogo. I love Mogo, specifically what they do with him in the Rob Vendetti run of Green Lantern.
Is
He uh,
that
he
the
he's that's the immediate post Jeff Johns run.
so that's an author who had big shoes to fill.
Yeah, yeah. I honestly like he does it just fine. Like I fucking love his run on Green Lantern. It's so good. But yeah, moving on. Sinestro is still attacking Natu's home planet. We're tearing. I love the imagery here of as he attacks, tearing down the Green Lantern banners that are all over the place.
Yes. Just blowing them up.
Yep.
And of course, the flames being yellow
Mhm.
really just amplify the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, and then we cut to deep space where Akilo is being a slave driver
Yep.
to a bunch of slaves, and the Corps is preparing for battle. Um, Meanwhile, this Sinestro fight is great.
Hmm. Oh yeah, it's really well drawn. I don't think there's a ton of great and there's great dialogue, of course, but like it's not like a big part of the fight.
Yeah,
I think a lot
it's
of this. I think a lot of this could have been dialogueless, actually.
yeah, it could have. I think it's all done to at least have Sinestro, show like he's really everyone's playing right into his hands because he knows so much about the Green Lantern Corps.
Hmm. And
Um,
specifically, how the Guardians will react to an attack like this.
yes,
Mhm.
um,
Because
because
I mean, hey, spoiler alert! Like Sinestro gets exactly what he wants by the end of this.
he does.
Yeah.
But Naito is defeats Sinestro sort of, and is named Savior of Korrigar, and is
Mhm.
going to lead them. While on Oa, Kilowog rallies the troops. Uh,
And we get what is it? Well, we don't like name him officially yet, but he's going to be our new Ion. This is a Sodom Yacht.
yes.
Yes.
Uh,
Um.
you know,
Yeah. So.
who is oddly enough, I really like his one issue that he gets later
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. He's
Uh,
he's really great. But
he's,
more on that later, of course. We go back to the antimatter universe. Sinestro is just sort of getting information on how the Lanterns are responding to the attack. Meanwhile, in Sector 2261, we go over to Mogo just to see how he's doing, which is great. Love Mogo, but Mogu is now under attack as well.
Everyone is under attack. And we move on to Green Lantern number
Number
22.
Yeah, Sinestro Corps War Chapter 3, Running Scared. Um
A
yeah.
great cover
Yeah.
of
Oh yeah. This
of,
one's
of the different Kyle Rayners.
yep. This one is done by Ivan Reis, and
Yes.
it's very nice. But yeah, move back to Ivan Reis art. Here we are. Yeah, Guardians still being Guardians. Sort of catching people like if you're only reading Green Lantern, which you really shouldn't be, but still saying like here's what's going on with Natu. Here's here's some lanterns fighting the Sinestro Corps, and meanwhile we're back to where we were with Hal fighting Kyle as Parallax.
And getting his ass handed to him.
Yep.
Uh, Parallax taunting him with, you still crying about Daddy Hal? Wondering what he said when he nosedived into the ground? I'll give you a hint. It wasn't Geronimo.
My fucking god. Oh god. Like it's somehow very corny, but also really threatening. Like
Yeah, it
like
shouldn't work, but
it
it
really
does.
works. It really, really works. Yeah. But yeah, so still fighting Kyle here. The actual Parallax entity comes out as well as Amon Sur and a lot of almost all of the Sinestro Corps.
And
Um,
possibly the replacements for the Sinestro Corps who have died. Because
yeah.
it's heavily implied that they're just sending the bodies out.
Well, no,
Because,
we'll keep in mind nobody in the Sinestro Corps has died yet.
oh, right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's kind of a big deal later, you know. For now, it's just a Green Lantern slaughter fest. So
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah,
I,
so yeah, Hal gets
Amundsen
attacked.
gets a chance to actually, punch Hal in the face.
Mhm.
Especially after one at Hal Jordan kind of didn't give him that chance, really.
Yeah,
Uh,
but in a really great moment, out comes the what should we call this specific group of Green Lanterns? The ones that hate Hal.
I think they're called like the Lost Lanterns.
Do
Uh,
they ever actually say that in here?
I don't know, but that's
Or is,
basically what
is
they
that
are.
like an unofficial name? I mean, that would work, you know.
Yeah, you know,
They are the namesake of Revenge of the Green Lanterns, so there's that.
yes. And there is, it's a great two-page spread,
Yeah, they all come out swinging. Meanwhile, Superboy Prime is
and his
just being
smug
a little.
fucking face.
Look at him. Look at that smug fucker. Like he just goes, "Stupid Earth." Like, fuck off. I fucking hate this man. But yeah, we go over to Cyborg Superman, um, who's just lost. He feels very lost, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's asking, what is it to be afraid to live? Do you hear me, my guardian? And the anti-monitor in all of its George Perez glory.
Look at it. Oh, I love that. Is somebody shooting off fireworks at 3 in the afternoon? Are you fucking kidding? Did you hear that?
I didn't, so you're good.
Good. My God. Somebody shot off a firework at 3 in the afternoon.
That doesn't surprise
Okay,
me.
for those that don't know, we're recording this on the 4th of July. Specifically in the afternoon, so we don't have to deal with, America. And yeah, like seriously. Anyway, moving on. Uh, yeah. So yeah, anti-monitors here. Talking to Cyborg Superman. Oh my God, that last panel where just a tear wells up in
Yeah.
Henshaw's eye.
So the Animator promises, when you have done what we have asked of you, I will not fail where Superman and Green Lantern have. I will kill you, Hank Henshaw.
And he says, "Thank
Thank
you,
you. Ooh, he wants to
man."
die.
Oh my God,
And
just
it's kind of justified. It's kind of totally justified since
yeah.
like
Henshaw does not have an existence,
he
Not
doesn't. His entire family is dead. He only survived, because of cyborg shit. Um, he tried to be Superman. That failed.
yep.
He
Oh
tried
God, I
to
love
stick
it.
with Doomsday.
I love that of all the characters, like we have followed this journey through. Like we've seen pretty much all of his appearances up to this point. Like
Yeah.
man, and it's quite the journey. Like if you were to read them all back to back, like you could see how he gets to this point and how broken Henshaw is. Like he is no longer a person. Like it just I love it.
Yes.
Oh, I love it. So good. Meanwhile, Hal's still being saved by the Lost Lanterns. We're fighting off our yellow friends. Kyle as Parallax gains an extra row of teeth, and they're all very sharp.
And there's like, I don't know how to describe the throat to his esophagus because it is a it is a design choice.
Ooh,
I
I don't know what it is, but we just got another Twitter question.
Yes, I see. We'll answer that near the end, I think.
Oh
Looking
yeah,
at it,
actually, that's a really good one to answer at the end. Actually, yeah.
yes,
Huh.
yes.
Cool.
Uh,
Anyway, yeah, moving on. Yes, still being attacked, still fighting off, still fighting the good fight. Kyle goes after, I forget this guy's name here.
I don't
Oh,
remember.
he's the Nightcrawler looking guy.
I don't remember his name. Um, yeah, but Parallax Rainer is still monologuing about, covering up all your fear, Hal. He's like, is that what you fear? Your family? A frightened little boy? He then blasts the Nightcrawler looking guy, uh, who dies. The ring goes to search for a replacement, and Kyle grabs it and crushes it.
Which has got to be hell on Hal, going through all the effort of helping this guy come back, and then he just dies not long after. That is miserable.
Yeah,
Oh
his name is
man,
Chance.
there it is. Well, he didn't have a very good one.
Oh,
Um,
that is terrible.
yeah, moving on. We start to try to escape Cord. We make our way through to this tunnel, and
Uh,
they light their way through there. Hal has a lot.
as their rings are draining, or as their power is draining, um, and these are catacombs. It's a very alien, which I think is intentional,
Oh,
because like
definitely.
carved on the wall, fear infects over and over and over. Hal tries to locate Guy and John, um, and I don't think that it can do that. Yeah, it doesn't actually say if it locates them.
Hmm.
Uh, but basically they fly to the center of this citadel, um, and we cut outside the universe. Where things burn yellow, and at Citadel is Lissa Drac, keeper of the Book of Parallax. And I know fear like no other. This is going to make a wonderful story.
I love
Uh,
that. As she has Guy and John chained up behind her. But yeah, moving on. We are now on Green Lantern Corps number 15, Sinestro Corps War Chapter 4, The Battle of
of
Mogo.
Mogo.
Um, yeah, so we Sinestro Corps has their own little Mogo. I shouldn't say little. It's a pretty big version of Mogo. Uh,
It is still a celestial body.
yeah.
Uh, and they descend on the living planet, which, ooh, that imagery.
Oh yeah.
That imagery.
Oh, it's so good.
Um, this is this is one where we're following Kilowog quite a bit. Because yeah, uh, there's also a Green Lantern who is like a fly with a tiny little ring on one of his legs,
Yeah.
which I think that's just a cool design.
It's cool. Like I love when artists really play around with like there's like here fill in the page with some Green Lanterns, and it's like okay, well let's have some fun with that idea. Who could be a Green Lantern, and it's a fly.
Yeah. Um, it's the idea is we're going to clear the scum off of Mogo and back to where they came from. They attack the flank with an, another. I love the way that then this it goes into this sort of 2 page. The paneling gets all wonky in places. I
Mhm.
love I love when artists do that.
Oh
Um,
yeah, it's very fun.
Especially here, it really communicates the chaos of the war.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
you know, and a lot of it isn't working. But we cut to rank central command, uh, where it's like the Sinestro realizes, hey, the Green Lanterns are spreading themselves thin. Um, and they are ready to unleash children on the universe because there
Which
are
is
children Sinestro Corps members.
of course there are.
And it's
But I guess in a way, you consider the idea. I guess children do sort of make prime Sinestro Corps candidates, don't they?
yeah,
Yeah, that's kind of terrifying. That's
yeah, it's a cool idea. I don't think it gets explored as nicely as it could, but it's definitely an idea.
just to know that they're out there, though. I think
Yeah.
that's the point.
Also, the image of the baby is terrifying. Just look at the way
Oh,
that that thing is drawn.
yep. Oh God,
Like,
miserable.
and it looks like a baby. It's not like an adult in baby proportions like some artists do.
Yeah,
Uh,
like that looks like a baby, and that's just horrifying.
it's horrifying.
Ugh. Moving on,
And then
back to Mogo.
death rays come down from the sky.
That they do. Yellow death rays, because of course they are. Um, Meanwhile, back on Korugar, Natu is trying to help her people,
Because she is a
naturally.
doctor after all, and it's great. While in Oa, Salak is trying to, keep track of all the troops. Uh, you know, uh, Arisia is being attacked. Um, so is Salgari. This issue does a really good job of communicating the chaos of war,
Oh yeah.
and bloodshed, especially because it has to technically conform to the Comics Code Authority, even
Mhm.
though like the code isn't nearly as strict as it was. It still
Yeah.
can't go as bloody as it could go.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, you say that, and then I look at this panel where Kilowog watches Arkilla rip a Green Lantern in half.
yeah,
So I
that's
don't know if what you're saying is entirely accurate. And
still
it's
less
pretty
bloody than you
fucking
might
gruesome. Like
think.
Arkilla has one of this Green Lantern's arms in its mouth that it's ripping off as its claws drag the head of this Green Lantern by its eyes, ripping it from the rest of its body. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
the ever loving fuck? Yeah. So Kilowog obviously fights Arkillo.
Okay,
Like I
so
said,
so we haven't had as much of Kilowog as I might have hoped.
mhm.
Um,
But this
but
moment here, I
this
love this
moment,
moment.
it's
Arkilla
like
makes this little speech here.
the weak
Uh,
deserve their fate, and who cares about a few more dead?
and then Kilowog breaks through this debris and these lanterns that Arkilla is threatening, and Kilowog says, "Who cares? Who cares? I care."
I
And
care.
smashes through it, and it's a great little heroic moment. But then you also remember you're only on part 4 of 10, and you're just like, "Ah, it can only get worse, right?"
It's only
Um,
gonna get
it's only
worse.
gonna get worse. So you take the moments you can. Uh, so you move on here. Kilowog, just I love the power on display here. Like he really is one of the strongest Green Lanterns, and his sheer willpower, I think, really makes this fight here.
Yes.
We go
Uh,
back to the Guardians here on Oa.
Ganthet is still, fighting for the fact that, you know, maybe we should do something and
We
not
see
just be idle.
we get a little line here where one of the Guardians says how the demons of Yzmalt must be laughing now. Do you know what that is?
I don't.
Yzmalt is the home planet of the Red Lanterns. So
Ah.
yeah, we do a little bit more
Oh.
setup there. Yeah, yeah.
So it's
So
so it's subtle setup.
yeah, yeah. Obviously, nobody knew what that was at the time, but it's
Yeah.
just the fact that it's even there this early, it's really cool. I mean, technically, the next arc immediately is Rage of the Red Lanterns, but it gets split in half by Secret Origins, so it's weird.
It's weird. Yeah, so then we go back to Cord,
Yes.
where the Lost Lanterns are, still in that citadel trying to find everything, and they
Hmm.
come upon
The Anti-Monitor. And then we move into Green Lantern number 23 with a great little homage cover by Evan Reese here, with Hal Jordan with all the yellow rings on. This is Sinestro Corps War Chapter 5, Broken Laws. We're back to Ivan Reese art here, and we catch up with Jim here first.
and so I
Um,
will say issue 4 when I was reading this was where I was really feeling the drag just a little bit.
mm,
Just because there was a lot going on, a lot of chaos, and it just felt like, hey, we are moving forward and we're not having as much of a connection to the characters that I like to see in my stories.
mhm.
So when I opened issue 5, or
Seeing
chapter 5,
little Jim Jordan here and his wife.
it's like, here's exactly what I needed.
Yeah,
Uh,
isn't it weird how it works like that?
yeah. Um, and he's worried. His wife tells him, he needs to come sleep, but he's scared because no one's moved to Coast City. Our kids' classes have been more empty desks than full ones. Uh, and it's like, oh, but you believe in your brother, and I still do, but Hal can take a risk. He doesn't have kids to look after, and then his kids are awake, uh, and his daughter Jane woke up with a nightmare, thinking, is Uncle Hal going to kill somebody?
Oh God.
Oof.
Which again is a great time to bring this up, considering what this arc does. We'll get there, of course, by the end. But yeah, just interesting questions. Interesting questions to be
Interesting
had.
questions to ask
Yeah.
about Hal Jordan.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, so we go back over to Cord. We're still up against, I can't remember her
Lyssa
name.
Drack.
Lyssa Drack. What a name.
What a name! What a design!
Yeah,
Like,
right. Yeah. I'm still only gonna keep thinking of her now as sexy Destiny from
as
the
Sexy
Sandman.
Destiny. Well, Destiny was a Jack Kirby creation.
Wait, what?
Yeah, Destiny existed before the Sandman.
Huh? Like the same character from the
Yep,
Sandman?
yep.
In what?
Like a horror anthology title
Huh?
that also included like Cain and Abel.
Oh, okay. Like the
Previews.
same Cain and Abel from the Sandman?
Yes,
Okay. Wow. Like drawn the same way?
pretty much. Yeah, yeah. It was like
Huh.
Jack Kirby and I think Bernie Wrightson that like Neil
Wow.
Gaiman stole from. Well,
I would, well, yeah, not stole, but yeah. I get what you mean. Huh. I did not
yeah.
know that. Weird. Huh.
Uh, so yeah, accidentally exposing myself to Jack Kirby bullshit by reading The Sandman.
See, there you go. He's everywhere. He really
He's
is.
everywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's this fight. She is again terrifying.
Yeah.
It's like, for after your slow and painful deaths, I shall record a new story of all my own. Um, and
Meanwhile, Guy and John break free of their chains. They come in to help John, or not John, Hal. Oh my
Hal,
God, I could speak.
the guy being, you Quardians are in for some hurt. I get grumpy when I'm chained up on an alien planet too long. Uh, it's moments like these that I love these two characters.
Oh yeah, they're a really great team. Like I said, like my main exposure to them, one of my first Green Lantern comics ever was the New 52. I think it was it Tomasi? I think it was Tomasi on that actually. Peter G. Tomasi on Green Lantern Corps, the New 52, and like their dynamic there specifically is so good.
Nice. It's
Yeah.
they're such fun characters, and we've come such a long way for Guy, even on these episodes.
Yeah. But yeah, so here we are. We're continuing the fight here. Hal does this thing, takes one of the Yellow Lantern power batteries, and
Because he
makes his
needs it,
weapons.
and it's terrifying. It's like, oh, is he gonna become Parallax? And in parallel, on Oa, the Guardians realize we must rewrite the Book of Oa.
That thing they said they must never do under any circumstance.
Yeah. So Ganthet and Saeed are charged with the ultimate betrayal, acting on emotion, and are hereby banished from the council. Which is a development. I'm like, oh,
Yeah, it's a big development.
it's like
Like you wouldn't imagine that happening. Like it's, I don't know. It's interesting. I love
my
that.
brain can think like, okay, this is probably just going to go down the route of, oh, the Guardians realize that they were actually right and are let back on by the end.
Nope.
Nope.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear your thoughts on that, on what they actually end up doing with them, because I'm sure that's not where you expected like that to come from, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I
yeah,
didn't expect that.
yeah. More on that later. Anyway, so yeah, so anti-monitors being the anti-monitor, um,
Being
going,
attacked by the Lost Lanterns and
yep,
just is attacked but doesn't die. Um, Hal attacks Amon Sur, which is ooh I it's such a cool image.
yeah,
And they're
yeah.
like, wait, how does he do it? And it's like, do you think allowing Jordan to? It's like, is this wise? It's like, and guys like, hell, I used Sinestro Ring for a while. made me a little more aggressive, maybe. Um, uh, but but he was still himself. He's cut off because it's Guy Gardner. He shouldn't have to monologue. Uh,
No, I would love to hear Guy Gardner actually monologue though.
yes.
Um,
It's also it says do you remember that big G he wore on his jacket? Do you remember what Guy stood for? Girl magnet. She's like, oh
so
no.
good. But yeah, so they're met then with Sinestro and a lot of the core and Kyle Parallax, um, and Sinestro does his little monologue thing as he does so well. Um,
And Sinestro's convinced that Hal has no idea how to manipulate fear, which is kind of just wrong because he's been manipulating fear this entire time.
yeah, and there's also just a whole time when Hal was nothing but fear. He literally held the embodiment of fear within him, like
And he also killed Sinestro while
yeah,
that happened.
yeah. So whatever. But yeah, so let's see. Kyle specifically goes after Guy, and um,
The
says I
Manhunter's attack.
yes, yeah,
Uh, so John Stewart can say, "No Manhunter escapes the man."
so good. Yeah, another great action sequence here. We go over to Oa again, um, and let's see, what is it? The one guardian says, officers, we have all suffered great loss against this horrific incursion of fear. Many are dead and wounded. Many more are missing in action. The Sinestro Corps fight without mercy. They torture those they capture. They revel in the pain they cause. And now they approach. So they enact the first law of the new not the new Book of Oa, but a new 10 laws being written into the Book of Oa, being rewritten. They say, um, it is for these reasons we have rewritten the Book of Oa, rewritten it to include 10 new laws effective immediately. The first law of 10 within the Book of Oa: the power rings are now authorized to use lethal force against the Sinestro
Sinestro
Corps.
Corps.
And oh man, all the rings light up saying lethal force has been enabled. And honestly, I love this immediate reaction because they don't all just go insane and go out to kill the Sinestro Corps members. They all just sort of like stare at the rings in shock because they're like, what do we do with this? They're kind of lost at this moment.
Yeah, it's very much to say that physically changes what we have to do. I hope that the wording specifically authorizing lethal force against the Sinestro Corps, I hope that comes into play in later stories
It absolutely will.
because
it
that's a
it
very
absolutely will.
specific wording.
Yeah. They play on that, and again we go back to Jim Jordan here to play on that line, about, the is Uncle Hal going to kill somebody. We get a great sideways 2-page spread here of of
Of the Sinestro Corps amassing above the planet Earth.
they're specifically going after Earth now, like who it's ramping up, and this leads us perfectly into Green
Well,
Lantern
I love the
Corps.
final line where Jane's like, "Can I make a wish?" And then Kyle's just, "Go ahead, honey, make a wish."
So corny. Oh, I love it.
So corny. Now we have Green
Green
Lantern
Lantern Corps
Corps.
number 16. Yeah, number 16. This is Sinestro Corps War, Chapter 6, The Battle of Ranks. Yeah, this is still Dave Gibbons and writer, same
Yes.
artist that's been so far. We move on
Just
to
just a
six.
reminder that now, because of this is one we are specifically all at the where in the timeline at the beginning of where Chapter 5 started as well.
Mhm.
Because that threw me for a loop. It was like, oh wait, it hasn't happened yet. It's happening in parallel.
Yeah, yeah. So you could probably read them side by side somehow.
Yes,
I'm sure there's
somehow.
a way to do that. Yeah. Anyway, Sector 2261. We're back to Mogo and Sinestro Mogo. Does it actually have a name? Do we know?
It's ranks.
Oh, it is ranks. Okay.
Yeah,
Duh. All
that's
right.
because I don't know if it's supposed to be like I don't know why ranks as like that being called ranks, but it's what it is. I don't know if
Yeah.
it's like a reference to something or whatever.
I don't
But
know.
yeah, Green Lanterns are still being slaughtered.
Yes.
Uh, Yat is kind of going against orders. He has orders from Salak himself. Arisi is or no, Arisi has orders from Salak. Kilowog tries to get her back in line. Well, he's not doing too hot himself. Um, as as Yat enters ranks to try to blow it up from the inside, doing the old Star Wars blow up the Death Star from the tiny tube,
Yeah.
basically. Uh, and there's this narration through it. I think the implication. Who's narrating? Is it the Anti-Monitor? Or is it the planet itself? I think it's
where are you looking at?
all the blue captions.
Oh, okay.
I think that's the planet. That
Oh
might
yeah,
be
yeah. That's ranks. Because if you look at the beginning, that's the bubble they use for ranks talking to Mogo.
right. Yeah, and it wants to eat. It wants to eat Guy Gardner,
Mhm.
which interesting. It's like what?
Why specifically Guy Gardner?
Oh, apparently because at the end of his encounter with Honor Lantern Gardner, Ranks voided the contents of his digestive system,
Makes sense.
made a planet blow up, or vomit, I guess.
All right, moving on. Yeah, big fight. A lot of this issue is a big fight. This is probably one of the weaker issues of the whole story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's all basically trying to blow up this planet and save Mogo, the living planet, because environmentalism. I do like the stuff with our new Ion character. What's his name? Is it Yak Yang?
Yat.
Yat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Sodom Yat.
he's infiltrating. Uh, you know, there's this whole idea of he's part of a prophecy. Um, uh, that Aricia knows because of the Guardians, but can't tell him the full details of.
Mm-hmm.
The Manhunters attack them. They fight side by side. Um, and the battle rages. The Guardians, um, ponder what's happening.
As they do so well.
And the
Yeah.
power rings are reconfigured.
Yes. Lethal Force has been enabled, and we finally line up with the last issue. Ion is sort of relishes the idea of lethal force, and he starts slashing at the Sinestro core. I like it's interesting, like not knowing much about this character. I like seeing like what it does to him, and the fact that he looks, I don't want to say generic, but like he has a very like normal looking face, if that makes
He
sense.
he looks kind of like he was designed based off of Kyle Rayner,
Yeah,
just a
yeah,
little bit.
and
Like,
he's yeah, so like sort of just being like this perfectly normal looking person, sort of get this fire in his eyes, and
well,
attack
Arisi is
these.
very much like I'm not gonna kill. Like,
Yeah,
no, that's not me.
yeah.
Again, very interesting.
Mhm.
They both get splattered in blood, um, and they blow up. He blows up the planet. Uh, Calls to the other lanterns. Um, and they are kind of victorious for the first time in this entire war. Uh,
hmm And then that's the moment when Hal comes in, says that Sister's target isn't Oa, it's Earth, and again we get that image of the Sinestro core amassing over Earth, from a different perspective though, and I really like how it's portrayed here.
yes,
Yeah. We then
implying
go
that
over.
Hal's is at the top of this column of death that's coming on Earth.
Yeah. We then go over to Green Lantern number 24. This is Sinestro Corps War Chapter 7, Home Invasion. Um, we open on smug ass Superboy Prime. I hate this man. I hate this man so much.
He's such I hate him, but I love hating him.
Oh yeah, yeah. We get a full 2-page spread here of the Sinestro Corps going towards Earth.
And he's also looking like, what took you guys so long?
hmm
Uh, and Sinestro is joining on Earth. Their first
hmm
target is New York City. Um, is New York? Is there a Justice League building in New York generally,
I don't think so.
or
I
is
could
that in
be
DC?
I
I
could
mean,
be wrong.
I'm thinking I
I
might
don't
be
know
thinking
like where the
DC.
Hall of Justice is meant to be located.
Yeah. Well, I mean, New York's just a big city anyway. We see Superman and Batman fighting, Manhunters and Wonder Woman, and play the rest of the Justice League, of course, sort of in the background. Which again, this is the time where you need to bring in the Justice League for a story like this because
Mhm.
it's actively attacking
Yeah, yeah, and I
Earth.
think it really works. Compared to like when they bring the entire league into Wanted Hal Jordan. Like I think this is really justified here.
Yeah, and they also don't necessarily overstay their welcome. Like
Yeah, yeah.
it's still focused a lot on Green Lantern. Like, because then you get you have Alan Scott in there and like the Justice Society.
Hmm.
Uh,
Uh, Parallax, Kyle Rayner goes after is still going after the Jordans here. Hal is rightfully pissed. Hal goes after Kyle. We had a great little fight scene between the two of them here.
yeah, while he's just trying to save his family.
Hmm.
Hal screams that he's going to tear him apart. Um,
Hmm.
but Kyle's like, you should stop worrying about me and start worrying about Coast City. Because yeah, they're gonna blow it up again.
Of
Uh,
course they are. I love this one thing on the next page then when when Parallax starts to like deform and these like tentacles come out of it.
and
Um,
like Kyle's actual arm comes out of the mouth,
yeah,
grabs onto
yeah.
Hal. Oh well,
Hmm.
Guy and John are trying to find a way to save him.
Hmm.
Uh,
Then Kyle goes full on Yellow Lantern here. I love this look for Kyle here. Or not for Kyle, but I guess for
for,
Parallax
for
specifically.
Parallax, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah. This is the moment when all the Corps arrive. Then they all come down to Earth. The Green Lantern Corps, that is. They arrive
yes,
down on Earth to fight the Yellow Lanterns here. Um, we start to see them actually killing Sinestro Corps members. Now you get the little messages. Ring status report: Sinestro 2 deceased. Scan for replacement sentient.
yeah, and
Um,
it's great.
yeah.
You get then an image of the Statue of Liberty blowing up with the cyber with Henshaw's flinging Superman into it.
Hmm.
Uh,
Again, it's a brief moment, but I do like this little rematch, or no, not a rematch, but just a face off between Clark and Henshaw.
as to face off,
Mhm.
Superboy Prime being I'm back,
Jerks,
jerks.
so good, oh, so good. Yeah, we move on here. John and Guy have joined the fight against Kyle Parallax. Um, what is it then? Guy brings out what is? Oh yeah, one of Kyle's paintings or drawings, whatever it is.
This is
Um,
this is the painting from the prologue that was described as a boy in the field that was the one
that's
piece of
right.
color.
That's right.
Yeah, it's such a nice little thing that's what saves him.
Yeah,
And then inside Parallax, you see Kyle just in this field, a
yeah.
green star in the sky as Hal fights his way in.
Hal comes in to save him. Kyle
I
breaks free
I
of Parallax. It's
I
such a
love
great
the way it's
moment.
done. This is might be like my favorite moment in the comic. It's
It's so good. Yeah, it's such a well done moment.
yeah, but Kyle bursts out. They're all full of yellow sludge. Uh, they're both
And
bring.
but of course it doesn't lead. Kyle's free and so is Hal, of course, now. But Parallax is still around, so Parallax goes to attack. But in comes Ganthet and Sade, and
With 4 power batteries.
they contain Parallax. They absorb Parallax into these power batteries, and Parallax
There's
is contained.
yeah, but there's no real time to dwell on that because they have to be like, hey, we were banished from the Guardians. This is the last help you're getting from us. It's like,
Yeah.
why were you banished? Ah, we have emotions. And Ganthet gives Kyle his ring back. Um, so they all do the Green Lantern Corps oath.
Yeah, we get the oath. It's a really great moment, really perfect ending to this issue, taking us right then into Green Lantern Corps number 17. This
17.
is Central Corps War Chapter 8, Endgame.
Endgame.
This, interestingly, is written by Dave Gibbons and has a couple extra artists on it. Um, uh,
Pascal Elixir and Dustin Wynn for joining are on pencils.
I read something drawn by them recently. Justin, what is it, Nguyen?
Wynn, yeah. Um,
I I swear I read. What did I read by them recently? I know I did. What was
I
it?
don't know. I haven't. I don't know what you read.
I don't know what I read anymore either, I guess.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
huh.
Um,
All right. Anyway, yeah, sorry, go on. Yeah, so we open up the issue. We get the Guardians here. Um, talking about the multiverse and Ion and all that. It's there.
it's this creativity. It's like, we ruined the Book of Oa. It's like, what if that's insufficient? Then we have no choice. Then we reassign the ion power far earlier than we are prepared to. Because yeah, but yeah, the Green Lantern Corps is heading to Earth to try and stop the war. Um, and we meet up with basically all the core characters who have been important throughout this miniseries.
Mhm.
Um, and they start by attacking Mount Rushmore, where the Corps was sort of massing for a final assault. We then cut to San Diego, um, where just there's more of a battle here. Uh, Kilowog gets another chance to beat his to beat Arkillo, his sort of parallel in the core. Um, I accidentally just
Yeah,
hit
I
a
was gonna say, did you
react
just sad
button.
react? Did you just sad react me, Jacob?
I didn't mean to.
You just sad react me. Fuck you. This podcast is over. Fuck you. No. Uh,
No, so what happened is my copy of the omnibus slipped and it hit my mouse button.
Sure, yeah. Blame the Omni. Whatever. Whatever. It's all good. I don't care.
But yeah, we see basically the scenes of the Sinestro Corps going down from this perspective, and Guy going off to try and find the painting that he needs.
Yes.
Um,
And you can tell like a lot of what this issue is doing is realizing that they're not going to end Sinestro Corps War on a Green Lantern Corps issue, so they have to double up on the core issue. So we're definitely covering a lot of the same ground that we did last issue here.
I actually don't mind it here, um,
Oh,
because
it is more annoying in the last case that they did this, but the fact is it still happens here.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I think it does a good job of showing off Guy, getting us to explore, Ion and all the new Ion sort of, and just get events matched up on Earth. Seeing a lot of Green Lanterns on Earth is already kind of a weird thing because so space, but yeah, it's very weird. I also love just Kilowog's fight. It's so
Oh
satisfying.
yeah, so good, so
He
good.
gets a giant naval boat, what's that, an aircraft carrier, dropped
Yeah.
on his head.
Yep. But yeah, meanwhile, we're sort of amassing the core again. The
But
anti-monitor
also,
arrives.
sorry, one final note about this. Kilowog is one of the ones who isn't killing.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's just Kilowog's character, you know?
Well, it's telling who isn't killing and who is.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, definitely.
Definitely, yes. Um, but yeah, you just have then some more scenes of just the Sinestro Corps War finally being put on the back foot. Um, yeah, leading his own lanterns through New York City, while the Anti-Monitor comes down with Sinestro,
I love
and
that image of Sinestro just like, sort of like flying next to the anti-monitor.
and it is terrifying because the Anti-Monitor can just destroy everything.
Mhm.
Yad is knocked down, but not
But
killed.
he gets back up again.
Yeah,
You're never
with
gonna take him
red
down.
with red eyes.
Yes. Um, he goes over to help not to. Um, I hate that the only thing I could think of when I say that name is the Pokemon not to.
Yeah, I'm trying to
That's
avoid it too.
yeah, that's
Uh,
but yeah, so yeah, the Guardians are still here. They finally grant Yat the power to be Ion, to be possessed by Ion, and that is how the issue ends. But of course, because Superboy Prime is Superboy Prime, he goes after them now, and that's the end of that issue. But before we move into chapter 9, because we're reading from the omnibus again, we got to know who Superboy Prime is. So we
yes.
read Tales of the Sinestro Corps Superboy Prime number 1. This is called Into the Sun. This is Jeff Johns on writing, and of course Pete Woods and Jerry Ordway
Ordway on
art.
art. Now,
Yeah,
before we get into this, if you are reading this from the Jeff Johns by Green Lantern book 3, I believe this is where that gets placed in there because that
yeah.
is
And
included.
if you're reading a version of Sinestro Corps War that doesn't include this issue, just skip forward like 5 minutes, probably.
Yeah, well, I have some things to say because I like what this does with Superboy Prime.
Maybe a
As
little bit more than 5 minutes. If you hear us
yeah,
still saying Superboy Prime, then just skip ahead. So
yes.
yeah. Anyway, yeah. So moving on. Yeah, we go into the sun here.
We open with this line: "The universe was better when I was a kid, way better." And it's just like, motherfucker, you are such a motherfucker. Like,
Yeah.
we basically recap sort of bits of the war that's been going on. This great image of the green and yellow rings. And so when I
Mhm.
sacrificed everything for the people I looked up to, I learned something out. I learned that it was all fiction.
And we get this image of him standing in front of a Bart Allen Flash statue, which he crosses out Flash and says "stupidest boy
Boy,
dead."
dead.
Like
He's like, this guy, he's a
it's so
child.
petty. It's so petty. I love it. But
And
he's attacked
so
by the League here. Then
it's like, oh, and it's like, I've been waiting to see you again, and we've been waiting to see you. Um, and it's great to see the Justice League here just run circles around this idiot for
Mhm.
50 pages.
Oh yeah, it's
'Cause
brilliant.
he sucks.
Yeah, that's a lot of what this is. But really, where this issue shines is the flashback sequences where we get
Yes.
Superboy Prime's past.
Yeah. So
So
we
we get to
have
this
some
first one
fight.
here, and
We have.
we see that like I don't know if you like knew anything about Earth Prime, but it's a thing where
Is it basically meant to be our Earth? Where
yeah, so yeah, pretty much where like superheroes aren't a thing, they're fiction. This is like that's an actual issue of Green Lantern that he's looking at there. There's an issue of Flash next to him and an Action
Action
Comics.
Comics?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know he was an adopted kid called Clark Kent. Uh, has a friend called Lori, which I wonder if that's a reference to Superman's mermaid girlfriend,
Possibly,
possibly.
possibly, probably.
Um,
But yeah, I like the idea, of him being like adopted, and called Clark Kent, because it's just something that would happen in our world. It could happen in our world. How many kids are out there are named after like Luke Skywalker or something, like
I mean,
that's
I
this.
have a cousin who's named after Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, like that's exactly like what this is. It's a cool idea. I
It's
like
a
it.
cool idea. And he's a nerd. He's 15. He's kind of angsty, but he's a nice enough kid, at least at first.
Hmm.
And like, you kind of feel for him. It's like, oh, you're dumb, but you're at least nice to Lori. You're not
Now,
like,
what is it? It looks like Ordway's on the flashbacks here, right?
yeah, I
The,
think
the,
this
the,
is
the flashbacks look more Ordway here.
yeah.
Um, yeah.
Uh, Lori's like, I'll buy you the magazine he ripped up, and he's like, forget it. It was a Batman, right? It's like I don't want to talk about it anymore. And he's annoyed. They sit on the beach and they watch the sunrise, and they're still kind of friends.
Yeah. Meanwhile, again, just more Superboy Prime fighting off the Justice League, holding his own rather well.
Holding his
But
own.
yeah. We go back to the next flashback. Then we could just like skip over this pretty much.
Yeah.
Unless you want to take some time to call out some heroes here that you know and don't know. I don't know.
Well, well, I know. I think what Element Woman gets or gets
Yeah.
like
We got
one panel.
Firestorm here, Wildcat. Do you know Wildcat?
No,
He's the one on the top left
is
there.
that Giganta?
I believe so. Yes. Yeah. Should be
Yeah.
her. Do you know Captain Atom?
No.
Or sorry, wait. Yeah. Captain Atom. Okay, making sure I had
Yeah,
the right one. Yeah, Captain Atom. Yeah,
a character who's
he's atomic. What do you want? Um, yeah, nothing insane
someone who
here.
looks like Uncle Sam.
Yes. We got Mr. Terrific there. I see. Black Canary. Just some cool appearances there.
You
Anyway,
have one.
this.
You have Wonder Girl mad about Connor's death,
Yes.
which
Um,
I think she speaks for all of us.
Yes. Yeah. Again, I know we've said this a few times in these past two episodes, but please listen to our Death of Superman episodes. I still love them to bits.
Yes.
But yeah, so That's that. Second flashback here. More Clark and Lori content. It's nice. They have a nice relationship here,
Yeah,
and
he made himself a Superman costume. He
mhm,
was looking at the sky, sees a bright light in the sky, and suddenly he can fly, which is, the beginning of the end because he flies and meets a Superman.
mhm.
Um, this is this the Superman that dies in Crisis? Like,
Superman. Well, there are a few Supermen that die in Crisis.
okay,
So, so just keep in mind the point of Crisis was to make sure there was only one of everyone.
one of everyone. So this is a Superman. Um,
Yeah.
a Superman, not a Superboy Prime who sucks. Because
Mhm.
yeah, he gets to kiss the girl. He says goodbye to Lori. It's like when I
And
came
next
back.
thing you know, his Earth is being destroyed. The anti-monitor's there. Crisis and Infinite Earth stuff that you don't know yet. But you get the gist of it.
Yes, um, but he went off with Superman from Earth 2, uh, Lois Lane from Earth 2, who is married to Superman, that's just sweet. That's
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
nice. And Alexander Luthor, who I'm guessing is one version of Lex Luthor from an Earth.
Yeah, it's super baby Lex pretty much.
Okay,
Yeah, just we'll read it someday. Don't worry. Um, moving on.
there's a lot.
Uh,
Crisis is a
yeah,
lot.
yeah. But yeah, we get some more fighting here. We get Crypto. Crypto's here in
Yeah,
the
led
Justice
by
League
led
fight.
by Tim Drake Robin.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's nice.
I love how Crypto's just like, I'm going to murder you.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, uh, they then uh, we then flash back to, I'm guessing, one of this might be like
Yeah, again,
Infinite
yeah, you just
Crisis.
as someone who hasn't read Crisis for you, like just you need to sort of just
Yeah. Well,
accept these scenes as they're presented and just focus on the fact that like we're here for Superboy Prime and just his
well,
perspective on
this
everything.
is his perspective and his fall, where he gets like, heroes are terrible
Yeah.
and they're all phonies. He,
Hmm.
I've read The Catcher in the Rye, and I thought it was brilliant. Is basically the plot here.
Yeah.
I hope we have at least some listeners who feel the same way I do about Catcher in the Rye.
um
Um,
but yeah, so we get his whole thing here. He fights one of the Supermen. He gets imprisoned by the Guardians. We know the rest from this point.
he has the Superman symbol lasered on his chest. He looks like a vampire in that one panel
He
with the red
does.
eyes.
Yeah. But yeah, back in the present, we see a bit of what we already saw in Sinestro Core War so far. We see Sinestro, Cyborg, and Superboy Prime down here together, um, and we see like Superboy Prime getting his suit and everything. Back in present day, he's helping Cyborg Superman fight the good fight against
Crypto is just gonna murder him. He
yep
tries to kill
against
Crypto.
they're fighting like every super at this point. Power Girl's here, Supergirl, Superman. Um,
Yeah, and they're
yeah,
basically it's like we're just you suck. He
yep,
he does a sexism thing like, you're afraid to fight me on your own, aren't you, Superman? You need help from girls.
love it. Great
Uh,
moment. Or
and just seeing him
she
get
knows
his
him.
ass handed to him.
Yeah, it's nice. What a smug little bastard.
And you
Um,
have Jeff Johns' just great Superman writing
oh yeah,
of
yeah.
Clark being apologetic
I've
to
never
this.
read any of the Jeff Johns Superman stories, but I hear they're fucking brilliant.
He has a run on Superman?
I don't think it's a full on run, but like more like individual stories. I know there's one called Brainiac, and there's another big one. Shit, I can't think of the name of it right now.
But he's written for the
But
character
but yeah, there's like a proper like Jeff Johns Superman to read.
to read.
Yeah,
Uh,
and then I don't think he's ever done mainline Batman, at least not for a long period of time. But there's Batman Earth One, and that's great. So yeah,
Great. Yeah. So the Justice League just
yeah,
beats him down,
yep. We
and
got
they
a we got a
rip.
Miss Martian appearance here, which is nice. I like Miss Martian.
I only know that she was in Young Justice, the
That she
cartoon.
was. That she was.
The sun rises. He flies up to the sun, rips off his armor, and he was like, "I'm going to take Superman's place." Um, and then he gets attacked by the new Eye.
Yep. And this is catches us up to where we are in Green Lantern Corps number 18. This is Sinestro Corps War Chapter 9, Hammer to Fall, which is named after a Queen song, and I fucking love that.
Written by Peter J. Tomasi.
Yes, yeah, he's now taken on this last issue for Green Lantern Corps, because obviously this and the last Green Lantern Corps issue were written in very close proximity.
Yes.
So I'm assuming that's why he's on it, but I'm not sure if he actually takes over the run after this point. He might.
Interesting.
He might.
Yeah. And this is the issue where we get Sodom Yat's backstory.
Yes.
But yeah, we open with the fight around the Brooklyn Bridge with the Anti-Monitor and a bunch of Guardians destroying it to give Sodom Yat the power of Ion. And Ion fighting Superboy Prime. And yeah, there's all the narration of this issue, which I think is great. But what's really important is in the fight after it takes to the river below, we get a flashback to the planet Daxam
That was
several
another
years
firework.
ago.
Did you hear that one?
I didn't.
Wow, I'm surprised it's not picking it up. That second one was loud.
Yeah, it's like what 4 p.m. for you?
It's 3:46 in the afternoon.
Yeah, so we shouldn't be doing fireworks yet.
Yeah, horrible.
Horrible. But yeah, I love this flashback where we have a young Sodomy Act looking up at the stars with the intrigue that only a child could have, seeing shooting stars. And his parents basically, tell him, no, don't look out there. There's nothing for you out there.
Oh.
Space is off limits, which is fascinating. They're on a planet ruled by fear. Fear of the unknown, that this is their world.
Yeah.
And back in the present, he gets his ass handed to him.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit, which is kind of justified because he's kind of an asshole, despite being a hero.
Yeah, but then he gets to hand it back and kicks Superboy Prime's ass, and Superboy Prime kicks his ass right back. It's a very back and forth kind of fight, isn't it?
Very back and forth fight.
Yeah.
So then we go
another flashback here,
where he's a little older and he finds the crashed spaceship and an alien. And unlike the other people on his planet, he makes friends with the aliens. They share like soup, and they teach each other about their ways of life. And it's great. It's very nice. We then cut back to the fight, still going on back and forth. Superboy Prime being like, "Oh, you don't look so tough. I'm Superman. I'm the greatest hero of them all," when he's really not, because he's Superboy Prime.
Yes, he's a little bitch.
I love him, but he's a little bitch.
Yeah, he's a little bitch. He so much so he takes these like fucking like stone tablets and makes like gravestones out of them, which read "Here lies Ion, with great power comes one big zero. Here lies Earth, one of many that never deserve to exist."
And like I can see where his rage is coming from, because everyone he knows and loved is dead. But yeah, that just triggers our Ion to pummel the gravestone through him, and we go back to
and then the flashback
where the alien that he made friends with is dead, and he is captured by the government and subjected to
experiments on him, and
subjected to reconditioning by showing him his greatest fears of his entire family being killed.
Yeah.
And it's like, and that's the end of our final session. Your son Sodom's Adventures Day should be well behind him now. Thank you, Doctor. He'll finally be able to stand tall as a true citizen once and for all.
Ugh.
Such a fascinating look at what it means to be like a citizen, meaning to conform to your tiny little group. Like, yeah, it's great. And I mean, I don't know anything about Tomasi as a writer.
Tomasi has some really interesting things to say about big characters.
I know he has a Superman run that looks really interesting.
Yeah, he has
Uh,
Superman run. He does Super Sons.
yeah,
And my favorite thing he's ever written is the New 52 Batman and Robin, which is the post Grant Morrison stuff. Well, really, while Grant Morrison was doing Batman Incorporated, Tomasi took over Batman and Robin. And
after Paul Cornell.
yes, okay, that would be post Paul Cornell. Yeah, so it would be Morrison, Cornell, and then Tomasi.
So
Um,
with the New 52 like reboot of the series.
yeah, and like I fucking love those stories. Oh, they're so fucking good. I'm assuming you know like Damian quote unquote dies in the New 52 at
Yeah,
one
like at
point.
some point,
Yeah.
and
And Tomasi does all the stuff like post death, like Bruce's quest to bring Damian back, and it's so
yeah.
fucking good.
So
So
and
fucking
this
good.
is clearly in that vein.
Yeah.
It might be why I love this issue as like the best of the core issues.
That makes sense. Yeah, I agree with
Uh,
that. Yeah.
not to put any sort of damper on Dave Gibbons, because it's Dave
Oh
Gibbons.
yeah, it's Dave Gibbons. That's just a fucking legend in comics.
Yeah,
But I mean, Tomasi is one of the best current minds in comics. I think
yeah.
he's brilliant. I
But
also learned recently because I started reading The Boys recently. He's one of the people that introduced one of the original editors of The Boys to Garth Ennis. So he's
ah,
he's one of the reasons that The Boys came about. So there's that. I I don't know. Just thought it's worth mentioning. Yeah. So anyway, we go back to the fight between Ion and Superboy Prime.
Ion takes the lead and just stamps his boot into Superboy Prime's face
Yep.
with just so much rage and anger. And let's be honest, at this point, you're not entirely supposed to be rooting for Ion because he's taking things a bit far.
Yeah,
I
but
have
I
a
mean, so
feeling,
is Superboy Prime. They're both kind
yeah,
of messed up right now.
yeah.
But yeah,
But
we go back to another flashback. Poor Sodom.
he's
I love him. He
he
like
sees
I love his flashbacks here. So good.
he sees his alien friend's corpse taxidermied in a museum,
Ugh,
and
God.
it's all propaganda to keep people in their place. Like, okay, let's be honest, this planet's a fascist dictatorship,
Hmm.
like, but it's not using like strength fascism, it's using fear of the other, that side of fascism. Because yeah, it's interesting. um but he won't take it. The narrator says he plays the part that his parents want him to play, but he goes to the ship and cannibalizes it to make his own ship to leave the planet, and that's when a Green Lantern ring finds him. uh
Yeah.
this could be a jumping off point for like his own series, like his own solo book. I don't
Hmm.
know if that happened.
I don't know. I mean, his stuff probably just
Continued in
continued.
the
Yeah,
in the core
yeah,
run.
in core. Yeah,
But yeah, he becomes Green Lantern,
yeah.
and
And we're back in the fight, and Superboy Prime takes the lead, kicks Ion's ass, asks, "So who's next?" As John and Guy come towards him, and this
and
takes
they're
us
both here's the
into.
thing, they're both a bloody pulp.
Oh yeah, they look miserable. But into Green Lantern number 25, the final part of Sinestro Corps War, Chapter 10, Birth of the
Of the
Black
Black
Lantern.
Lantern.
With such a cool cover. I love this cover
Such a great cover.
with the
Such a good
anti-monitor back
cover.
there. I was like, oh man, I love it. More Ivan Reese and Ethan Van Sciver here. Van Sciver does pretty much the end stuff, right?
The end stuff, the Blackest Nights.
Yeah. But
Uh,
yeah, this is a big issue. Let's get into it. This is the last one of the day.
so we start with space, and I love then you just see all the rings flying away from
Because
Earth.
so many people are just dying, and the fact that like I wish there was some focus on this, but the fact that we know that somewhere within this there are probably just new people being dragged into this bloody war and dying immediately.
Yeah,
Like, oh my God, I wish that got some focus because that's definitely happening somewhere in here.
it's got to be happening. But we open, we begin, we do the beginning of the end where at the begin with my name is Hal Jordan. I'm an officer of the Green Lantern Corps, Space Sector 2814. The
The
universe
universe
is
is at
is at
war,
war.
and oh my God, like just two-page spreads right in a row. They're gorgeous. One is focusing on the Green Lanterns and the Sinestro Corps, and the other is like the Justice League involved in the fight. And oh, it's so good.
It's so good. Um, our job is to win it. So we are in Coast City. Our 4 lanterns are flying off with their new power batteries. We are taught. We get a quick summary of the prophecy. The whole idea. This invasion is but the second verse of the hidden chapter in the Book of Oa. We must prevent the Sinestro Corps from affecting the Green Lantern Corps any further, or else the universe will most certainly begin its plunge into the third and final verse. The third and final verse, the blackest night. Uh,
The
you know,
idea here being that all these different cores will rise up. We talk about this prophecy. All these different cores will rise up, and by the end of all this, it will all be destroyed in the blackest night.
night.
And
And this is what we get the layout of what each of the lanterns are going to be. Green, it is the condensation of willpower, and it is what fuels the Green Lantern core. It's also the middle of the spectrum. Then we get about fear, then about the Zamarins, the Splinter Tribe of the Guardians, delving into their far end of the spectrum with the color violet. Look further now to the near future, on the other end of the emotional spectrum. A force of hate will rise as the Red Lantern is anointed in blood, the bearer's rage unfiltered and unchecked. A squadron weaving the indigo light of compassion will attempt to spread goodwill throughout the universe, while the orange light of avarice will be discovered and manipulated by a being whose greed knows no bounds. Elsewhere, a flicker of hope will shine from deep space, like a lighthouse warning the ships from away from the rocks. The blue light will hold the line in spirit, if not in strength.
Okay, I just want to stop you for a second. I was reading along with you, and I thought it said elsewhere a fucker of hope. And it's,
Of course you
it's a,
did.
like I don't know what it was. I knew it didn't, but
Of course.
anyway,
Uh,
seven core will be born. Seven core will shine their light brightly, and we got another great two-page spread of all the cores fighting together and against each other. It seems.
in
Do
a,
you know any of these characters here, other than the
uh,
ones that are in this story?
other than like the star sapphires in the background, because one of those star sapphires looks kind of familiar. Uh, but yeah, not really. I don't
Okay,
know.
gotcha. I was curious if you knew like the big red lantern there, or the one blue lantern in the bottom left there.
No, I don't.
Okay,
Uh,
all right, interesting. We shall we'll get there, of course. Moving on. Yeah, so that's the prophecy. Is that all the Ethan Van Sciver stuff for this story,
I think
for this issue?
possibly at the end of the issue.
Oh yeah, definitely the teasing stuff. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
gotcha.
like the last 3 or 4 pages, I think, is Van Sciver.
Yeah. But yeah,
Uh,
moving on. Yeah, we have we continue to gear up for battle.
a guy
How
makes a joke. As long as I ain't a pink lantern, saying it's not a joke.
nope.
Uh,
But yeah, Hal goes to see Jim's kids
Kyle comes
before
with
the
him
fight
to
actually begins.
basically. Kyle comes with him basically to apologize,
Yeah.
and he sends a message out to Coast City. It's like, attention, Coast City. This is Green Lantern. There's an alien threat heading to our home. They will not stop until every building is burned down. Uh, I'm going to do my absolute best to make sure they don't succeed, but right now I need you to do something. I need you to get your families and your loved ones, and I need you to evacuate. I need you to leave right now. And Jim
Which
tells him no.
I love this. I love this for so many reasons. Because first off, it's a big scale event, whatever. But
But this is
also,
also this is the culmination of the run so far.
yeah, and also playing on that Return of Superman thing, isn't it? Where
Yeah.
Coast City was destroyed. Did Hal have this opportunity last time? Probably. Now he's actually taking that opportunity. He has the chance to save Coast City this time, and he fucking will. And it's so good. Oh my god, let's go. So exciting. We get this
We
great two-page spread then of the Antimatter at the center of it all. A lot of
being
great
attacked
smaller
in New York.
panels. Yeah, a lot of great smaller panels here, seeing the fight on a smaller scale. Uh,
Superboy Prime declaring Earth his,
mhm.
and we go back to the apartment where Jim refuses to leave. It's like, my whole life I've been the shut-in. I wouldn't let Howard play football. I wouldn't let Jane get on an airplane. Hell, I sell insurance. Um, it's like, we're your family. We came to Go City because we believed in you. What on earth would ever make you think that that's changed? I don't care what's coming. We're not leaving. No way. And Kyle's
So
like,
good.
hey, you better check this out. And outside, Coast City is shining green lights.
Oh, I love it. Oh, look at it. It's so good. So good. And it means nothing, but it's so good. Um,
it's just a nice piece of imagery. It's like,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So they go off to fight. Uh, the kids like, kick their butts, Uncle Hal, which
Great sideways spread of Hal and Kyle. Hell of a family, hell of a town.
town.
So good. Um, they join the fray. Sinestro attacks them directly. The fight then, at least there, becomes directly Kyle and Hal versus Sinestro.
True.
Um,
And it's very interesting because it's at this point where Sinestro basically, throws it back at Hal and Kyle. Like, you know, um, they were the ones who, they're doing essentially what Sinestro did, except not really, because Sinestro forced his people to do it. This is
yeah,
just people
but
believing in
but
Hal.
also Sinestro knows how hypocritical the Guardians are and knew this would
Yeah.
happen. This Sinestro wins. Yeah, like we're at the end here. Sure, the Sinestro core is being defeated, but Sinestro himself has proven his point. Um,
And Sinestro's one. Guy is down because of the living virus Sinestro core member. Again,
mhm,
terrifying image. The Guardians show up to blast the Anti-Monitor.
mhm,
Um, the Green Lanterns are demanding justice.
mhm.
More Sinestro rings are finding uh, new hosts.
I love this little moment here when Amon Sur sees Sinestro core members being killed right in front of him, and then the next thing you see, when you see Sinestro, is you get this little message from the rings that say Amon Sur of Angara, Sinestro 2814 has abandoned his post.
Like the
Um,
coward he is.
oh God, Ooh, so good, so fucking good. Um, yeah, we get that moment. Again,
And,
big fight here. Just a, yeah, go
and
ahead. Sorry.
despite it all, Sinestro's won.
Yeah.
He's won.
Yeah, he's
Even in
happy about this. He's happy that his core is losing because Sinestro doesn't care about victory on a physical scale. He has won morally.
he is trying to prove a point.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, there's some more great actions. It's like he wants the universe to fear the Green Lanterns, and the universe will be better for it.
Mhm.
Um, the Anti-Monitor is going down. Like it's one of its arms is ripped off by the Guardians.
Mhm.
They're trying to contain its corrupted engines. Henshaw claims that they fail. Uh, you know, uh, Superboy Prime is just trying to kill them because they locked him up and he's annoyed at that. Uh, Meanwhile, we see a Guardian die and
Mhm.
being burnt purple.
Oh
Uh,
man.
guy
Um.
guy is dying. Um, basically being like, the Guardians need the help of every ringslinger that's still breathing to scratch the Anti-Monitor. That'd take. And then Johnny is just that'd take a grenade the size of the moon. Hey, Johnny boy, what do you think that is? And they have this idea to blow up um, ranks. I think is what they're going to blow up
Mhm.
because
Oh, his
yeah,
ranks is like officially descending on Earth here.
yeah.
Um. Power battery. The rings are like slowly losing power as Hal and
Hal and
Kyle
Kyle.
continue to fight. The lanterns here. Um, big spacey battle. We see the creeper here. Do you see the creeper here? I forgot the creeper was here for a second.
Where's the creeper for a second?
Okay, so they're fighting in the sky. In the ambience page 1146. Um,
Yeah.
okay, second panel there.
Oh, look, there's the
There's
creeper.
the creeper. Why the fuck is the creeper involved in
Because
this?
it's everyone from the Justice League. Like, there's Nightwing in the back, I think.
Well, Nightwing
Right?
makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
Nightwing, Cyborg's there. Yeah, like okay, whatever. The
We can have a
creeper.
creeper.
Okay, sure.
And Jay Garrick is the Flash.
Why
I
not?
think I
Why
think
not?
DC has this like the best hero designs where you can just tell who everybody is.
Right? It's so distinctive. Like, oh, I love it. Like, if you've been following me on Twitter, like I have my Marvel thread, that I'm reading Marvel comics through, and like there is that issue occasionally where you're like, okay, which one's this again? Like,
Who's
like other than like the big ones, it can be kind of hard sometimes to tell.
yeah. Um but with the fight, Guy and John make green chains around the moon ranks and throw it down right on top of the Anti-Monitor.
Taking out both ranks and the anti-monitor at the same time, so good. Um, And
finally, also taking out Hank Henshaw, who
yes,
says,
for
Green
which,
Lanterns, thank you.
and
And
he fucking dies.
he blows up.
Okay, great moment, but this is the third time we've seen Hank Henshaw die.
This is also true. And this time, I thought it was going to be the last one, Joey. I thought this would be, a perfect bow for his character. There is no need to bring back the cyborg Superman.
You say that.
I
You
say
say
that.
that.
I know what's coming.
We go a few pages ahead. Hal and Kyle continue to fight Sinestro here, but then also there's this little Steel appearance there. Look at Steel right there.
Oh, yeah.
Steel's there. Look at him.
Yeah. But Hal, zaps the power from Sinestro's ring, so they all fight just on a physical playing field.
Mhm.
Um, Guy is brought to Natu. There's the Steel appearance, of course. Um, the Sinestro can't recharge their rings. The Anti-Monitor disintegrates.
Mhm.
Superboy
Like
Prime.
like the way that people disintegrate in Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Oh yeah, that's what's happening.
Yeah. Well, the famous like Flash
Yeah,
panel.
I've seen the Flash panel.
Yeah, everyone knows the Flash panel. Um, yeah. So again, physical fight between Hal, Kyle, and Sinestro here.
Superboy Prime
Still being a
still
little bitch.
he just won't die.
um, we continue to fight Superboy Prime. He goes after Ganthet, and Ganthet is not having any of that. Um, as Hal delivers pretty much the final punch to Sinestro, Ganthet it pretty much evaporates Superboy Prime. Um, that is Ganthet, right? Or is that a different Guardian?
No, I think that's Ganthet.
Yeah, it should be Ganthet. Yeah, he evaporates um, with Superboy Prime. I love seeing Superboy Prime, but like skeleton in there. But yeah, so that's the fight over with. We have Sinestro defeated. We take Sinestro in. Hal says pretty much words that he's always been dying to say. Sinestro, you're under arrest. Um, and we start to wrap up. We see 36 hours later. It's John and Hal with all the others guys here.
Guys here. I think Kyle's here too,
Yeah, Kyle's
probably.
here. Jim Jordan and the family. Um,
Guy is giving giving Hal's niece a piggyback ride, which is just kind of adorable.
Yep. We see that all the Green Lanterns are helping to rebuild any part of Coast City that is destroyed, because
I
this
love
time,
Kilowog's dialogue. It's like it was our fight, Poozers, and it's our mess to clean up.
love it. But yeah, so that's all done. Coast City is back in business. We see all these new people trying to move to Coast City, which I think is kind of weird.
It's like, hey, what do we do about population? Well,
I guess we better start counting.
yeah. It's
And
also the city without fear.
Yep.
Uh,
Oh, so good.
at
We see
at
our four main human lanterns flying through the skies of Coast City, and now we have to
on
tease some stuff.
first on Oa,
Time to
Superboy Prime
time to tease. Let's go. All right, Superboy Prime is he has
warped into
warped
the
in.
multiverse.
Yes. Um. Oh my gosh, it's really back. He says.
I don't know what this is in reference to. If I had to guess, maybe his Earth.
We shall see. Sinestro is locked away.
They
And
have to initiate their
the
second law.
second new law.
They
The
don't
guard.
say what it is.
Yes. But we will get there. But yeah, then we catch up with Ganthet and Sade, and Ganthet says the Guardians believe they've won. Hal Jordan realizes what the Corps has lost. He will fight to prevent the Blackest Night, and if he fails, he will not be alone if it comes. Sade, he will have his brothers in light: John Stewart, Kyle Rayner, Guy Gardner, and he will have us and
And
our
our
core.
core.
Life is sacred. Life must survive. If the skies grow black, we will do what we told Hal Jordan we could. We will hope. This is what I was referring to, and I was like, "There's no way you saw this coming."
I didn't. I
Yeah,
didn't, but it works
it
so
makes so
well.
much sense. It makes so much sense. I love it. Um,
It works so well, and it's great. I think actually it's at this point where we can answer our other Twitter question.
yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, we're gonna choose a couple other things. So let's do the rest of this first.
Okay.
First off, Hank Henshaw. The remainder of his skull is flying through space.
The Manhunters find him and bring him back to life, and he
Leadership
cries a
program
tear.
required, Grandmaster required, life readings positive, and a single tear falls from Hank
I
Henshaw's eye.
feel so bad for
You
him.
really
It's
do.
like, just let him die. He wants to die. Let him die.
And then we see the anti-monitor. The anti-monitor
The
falls.
skeleton.
Yes, the skeleton of the anti-monitor falls onto this planet, crashes into there, makes this structure. It is him, the anti-monitor. Rise, rise. We see this great tower appear from the ground there, and a giant black
Black
lantern
Lantern.
power battery appears at the center of it. And we get a little tease at the end of the Omni here. Hal Jordan returned in Green Lantern Rebirth. The Green Lantern Corps face the ultimate fear in Sinestro Corps. They will descend upon our worlds to claim the loved ones we have lost. They will forever hunger for those that still feed and live. And if the universe is to survive, willpower and fear must come together because across the universe, the
The
dead will
dead will
rise.
rise.
So, yeah.
Yes. And then there's one final issue that is basic that we won't really cover. It's
Yeah, it's
basically
just
all who's
there are some
who.
there are some character bios at the end.
It's got some great art. It's
Yeah,
got,
it does. Yeah, yeah.
nice figure out of who all
Um,
these people are.
but yeah, in about what 6.5 hours, we covered this whole omnibus.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, that's a way to put it. That's a way to
It's a
put it.
way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Three episodes.
Last Twitter question comes from Mason at the GD256. Says, which core, in your opinion, has the most storytelling potential other than Green? Jacob, I know for a fact what your answer is going to be.
It's gonna be blue.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, I know you're very excited to see where that goes when we get back to Green
I will
Lanterns.
also say with the second, Violet, Blue and Violet are the two with the most story potential. Uh,
Mm,
Mainly because, hope and love specifically have a lot of meanings. Like,
mm,
you can do a lot basing a story around hope. You can do a lot basing a story around love.
mm.
But yeah,
I agree because the Blue Lanterns, I have the same answer as you. The Blue Lanterns sort of have this issue where they've never had a story completely to themselves. Um, so like obviously there's a story called Rage of the Red Lanterns. There's Agent Orange. There's this. There's Mystery of the Star Sapphire. And there's a story called The Revenge of Black Hand, which is an Indigo Tribe focused story in the New 52. And I love that story. It's the thing that made me love the Indigo Tribe. Um, but the Blue Lanterns, like, have a lot of focus, but never like a story all to themselves. And I would love to see that. Like, I'm not even sure if there's probably been a Blue Lantern mini somewhere along the line, but I've
it's
never
it's
read it.
it's what's needed.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely. So yeah, I'm very excited to see. I knew that's what your answer was going to be because I knew
Yeah.
you'd be excited by that. But yeah, that was the Sinestro Corps War, and that's the end of our first block of 3 Green Lantern episodes.
So some final thoughts.
Yeah, final thoughts. Go ahead.
That was
Tell me what you think.
it's a ride. Honestly, I'm so glad the Omni goes this far
Hmm. Yeah.
because like that could have been the end of Jeff Johns' run. Let's be honest. Like it it felt like such a good conclusion of the story that he wanted to tell.
Hmm. But I feel
Hal,
like because this is the first time I've really felt that you've loved Jeff Johns' work. I think the fact that there is more, really shows why this run succeeded. Um,
yes.
yeah, and there is so much more to do.
I'm excited to eventually come back to this just to see where it goes from here, and I'm
Mhm.
sure we will.
But it is a good bookend for what we were covering, and I think that's why I sort of scheduled it this way.
Yeah. Um, I think Hal has such a good journey just through all of these arcs,
Yeah,
um,
definitely.
and get and reestablishing, making him creating a new status quo for Hal instead of just trying to go back to an old status quo.
Hmm.
Because one issue I think with certain comics writers is just continually trying to reset characters to an older point, and Johns isn't doing that. Uh,
Yeah.
like, sure, that's what the New 52 obviously did and what Crisis did to, simplify everything. But this is, right, if we're going to bring back Hal Jordan as a Green Lantern, we have to have him specifically written
Hmm.
just so we
I think
get.
that this is the trick, like people people talk so much nowadays. It's like, oh yeah, comic book characters die all the time, and they come back, and everything's the same. But this is one of those examples, and this is this is the standard. I think this should be the
Yeah.
standard of what really, without taking a drastic turn, as say like Jason Todd becoming Red Hood, without taking a drastic turn, still bringing that character back and having them find a new purpose in the world. It's almost like it does kind of remind me. You can relate to this. It does kind of remind me of the Sandman in a way. The Sandman doesn't have like a separate life before where we see him in the Sandman, but where we catch up with Morpheus, it is about him finding his way in this world that he's been trapped
Yes.
from for years on end.
It's telling that it took until like 2012 is when we really got pre-Sandman issue 1 Morpheus content with the Overture.
Yeah, yeah,
Because yeah, it's very, very important just to see why characters can change.
yeah. And
Um,
I think you know, you talk about Jeff Johns as a writer that writes these big blockbusters. I hope that these 3 episodes have sort of changed that opinion. That it's not all big
it
blockbusters.
isn't all big blockbusters, but it still is very much a signature style of his.
Yeah, yeah, and it's not, and it's one that I think a lot of writers have a hard time replicating at times too. Jeff
Yeah,
Johns is a writer that's influenced a lot of other writers, and because it works so well for Johns, they think it works so well for them, and it clearly doesn't.
yeah.
Um, you
He,
know,
he knows when he has to go just beyond
yeah,
doing just a
exactly,
blockbuster.
exactly.
Like
Um,
I like the one minor flaw I really have with this is that some of the core issues drag a little bit,
Yeah, but
but
even
I
then,
also wouldn't take
that's not
them
even John.
out.
At the end of the day, that's not even Johns' fault. He doesn't even write those
Yeah, but
issues.
I'm sure he had like a
Yeah.
hand in plotting them
Oh
and
yeah,
getting
yeah,
where
yeah,
they went.
exactly.
But I even though I wouldn't take them out, they are essential
Yeah.
to understanding why the Sinestro Corps War works, who Sinestro is, what his purpose is. Because
Hmm.
let's be honest, he was kind of retooled quite a bit,
Yeah.
and I could very well see him not necessarily becoming like an anti-hero, but him being a protagonist of his own
Sinestro does have his own
miniseries.
series in the late New 52.
Really,
Yeah.
that because that could be really interesting.
Yeah,
Like not
I've not read it, but he it ties into a late Rob Vendetti arc that I've read the tie-ins to, and it's very interesting to see how he's characterized there.
yeah, because he's a, it's all about writing characters who there's this terrible thing where people think like if you put a villain as a protagonist, they're immediately an anti-hero.
Hmm.
They're not. An anti-hero is a completely different thing.
Yeah.
Sinestro is a villain, but he's a villain who is at least a little bit sympathetic and one you can at least follow as like a point of view
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
get into his mind. And I think giving him a series like that is just a stroke of genius.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, definitely.
yeah.
But yeah, more on that much later,
It's later.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
But part of me, like seeing how much you're enjoying this, part of me does just want to say like, oh yeah, we'll keep doing Green Lantern stuff. But that's never been the nature of this podcast, and
No,
never will be.
if we just
If
did
we
20 episodes on Green Lantern, Joey, in a
you know,
row.
part of me would love that. Part of me would really, really love that. By the way, I think it's 11 episodes to cover all of Jeff Johns' Green Lantern that I have.
11?
Like, hang on,
Okay.
wait, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 11.
What?
Yeah. People that know the run will know how I split that up. Anyway, but yeah, so I would love to do that, but no, that's just not in the cards. But I guess to sort of wrap up our Green Lantern conversation, and before we start to close out and introduce what our next set of books is, let's I want to talk briefly about the fact that we covered 5 different individual volumes across these 3 episodes. What was your favorite of those 5 volumes?
Sinestro Corps War.
Nice, nice.
Like,
And I guess, well, I guess that kind of renders my next question null and void, but maybe not. My next question would be, we covered 8 individual arcs across these 3 episodes. Did you have a favorite arc of those 8?
I would also be the Sinestro Corps War. It's
Gotcha. I get,
hard.
okay,
I will
fair
tell
enough.
you, my least favorite was also Wanted Hal Jordan.
I agree.
The
Yeah, I
arc,
agree. I think my favorite of the 8 arcs, probably Revenge of the Green Lanterns. I love that thing to
which
bits.
is also fair. Like, again, Revenge of the Green Lanterns and Sinestro Corps War are both made their way into like my top 10 in
Mhm.
sort of the ranking.
Yeah, but it's so interesting that you're so attached to this one in particular because all the best Jeff Johns Green Lantern stuff comes after this. Like,
So it could just be getting better.
exactly, yeah. So, all right, I guess that does it for Green Lantern, doesn't it?
Yeah,
So
that's
all
sad.
right. So as we mentioned earlier in the episode, our next set of 3 episodes, we're doing 3 Batman episodes in a row. Um, I know you had a guess, but I know I mentioned something during this episode that probably threw off that guess.
Yeah.
So what was your guess originally?
Well, my guess originally was Batman Hush.
You are
Um,
incorrect.
yeah, simply because we had done first episode of the podcast was the first Jeff Loeb 12-issue miniseries. The second,
And then we did Jim Lee at one point. So
yeah,
yeah, that
uh,
didn't work out. So
uh,
what is your guess now? If you have a
I
replacement guess, you might get
um,
it right.
maybe like some of the Morrison stuff.
Not quite.
I
All
don't
right.
know.
Next time on Fresh Face Comics, we'll be covering Batman: A Death in the Family.
Oh, we're killing Jason Todd.
We're killing the motherfucker. Yeah, we're doing it. For those listening, next time on Fresh Face Comics, we're talking about Death in the Family. We are covering the deluxe edition, specifically so that we can cover not just the Death in the Family mini, but also the story A Lonely Place of Dying, which ties into New Teen Titans. So,
I did find out that the current paperback edition is just a paperback version of the deluxe edition.
oh,
So
well,
you
that's
can
awesome.
it's a new
Fantastic.
printing because Andrew actually just got it.
Oh,
And it
fantastic. Yeah.
includes it.
Yeah, so yeah, go check that out. As always, links will be down in the description. Go check that out. We'll be covering that next time. We'll be doing 3 episodes of Batman and then 2 smaller 2 episode arcs. So yeah,
So yeah, which
yeah.
I still have now I have an idea on what's coming next, but I don't know for sure.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah,
So yeah, so for those that don't know, also, I think did we mention on a previous episode you already have Death in the Family
I do.
because you were afraid the deluxe edition was going to go out of print.
I was very much afraid that deluxe edition was going out of print, and
Yeah.
it kind of did in hardcover, and I'm glad I have it in hardcover. The hardcover
Yeah.
is really
Oh, the
nice.
hardcover is so nice. Oh yeah. So yeah, I'm very excited. I hope you're very excited because
Ooh.
it's a big one. It's a big one. So yeah. All right. I guess that about does it. As always, thank you all so much for listening. It really does mean a lot. This is our 20th episode. I had to keep reminding myself that
20
it doesn't
episodes.
even feel like we've been doing it for that long, but we're coming up on a year.
We are coming
Like,
up on a year.
whew,
Yeah.
man, that's weird.
I want to plan something for my intro to episode 27. I've got to
Mm.
figure out what I want to do for that.
Oh, that doesn't help because you don't know what episode 27 is yet.
No, I don't.
So that'll be fun. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Ooh, man, 20 episodes. Thank you all so much for listening. It really does mean a lot.
Yes.
Um, thank you all for supporting what we do. As always, subscribe to the YouTube channel Blood Donut Studios.
We are very
Leave
close to 50 subscribers there, which is very nice.
Yes, we may already
Uh,
be there by the time you're listening. Who knows?
Very possibly.
Yeah, but yeah, leave a rating and subscribe wherever you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, whatever. It doesn't matter. Go
Uh,
check us out there. It really does mean a lot. Any support counts and helps and does all that
follow,
good shit. Yeah, follow us on Twitter. That's it. I am at Jomo with 3 underscores. He is at Newt5996. Those will be linked down in the description below. You can go check that out. And I think that about does it. So,
that,
yeah, thank you all so much for listening. Until next time, this has been Joey Morgan.
and Jacob Licklider.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.